Welcome to Fanfiction Audiobooks. One Piece, I'm undercover in the Navy. Chapter 1. Sir, what do you want from me? Donghai 362 Naval Base, in the Colonel's office, Yan put his feet on the desk, yawned, and asked sleepily, with the attitude of saying if you have something to say quickly, or I will hang up if nothing happens. Holy Land Marijoa, Spangdine listened to the sleepy voice coming from the other side, and the hand holding the phone bug kept trembling. What the hell, as a commander, do you only have something to do with me? Shut up, Arwen. The phone bug vividly imitated Spangdine's anger. Yan plucked his ears with an indifferent expression. The sky was high and the Emperor was far away. What was he afraid of? Yan, you bastard, I asked you to go undercover in the Revolutionary Army, but you ended up in the Navy. I haven't caused you any trouble yet, but now you act like you don't care. What do you mean by your attitude towards sex work? Believe it or not, I will charge you with escaping privately and let CP9 deal with you. Spangdine had a headache when he thought about Yan. He thought that he had been in charge of the world government for decades and had led hundreds of agents. Yan was definitely the worst one he had ever led. He arranged for him to join the Revolutionary Army, but this bastard went to the Navy and became a colonel in the weakest sea in the East China Sea. It was really annoying. When Yan heard this, he still had an indifferent attitude. Sir, just tell me why you are looking for me. If nothing happens, I will go out to patrol the sea, catch a few pirates, and maintain my identity. Otherwise, the Navy I should be fired. Yan picked up a document on the table and said with a headache. Damn it, the Navy actually has an assessment system. If you have anything to do, you will be assessed. If you don't have enough credit, you have to go down. If you have enough credit, whether you will be promoted or not depends on the mood of the leader. What the hell, what is this? It seems that he is unhappy. Spangdane was stunned for a moment and frowned, the anger in his heart rising even more. This Yan was lazy again when he had nothing to do. And thinking about Yan's attitude, he finally understood how Sengoku felt when facing Kizaru. I'm afraid it was also this kind of helplessness. Thinking about business, Spangdane decided to let Yan go for the time being. Yan, please listen to me. Menka of Branch 153 was defeated by a fledgling Straw Hat Boy. Now you can find a way to catch the Straw Hat Boy for me. I can be useful. Spangdine said with amazing momentum in Marijoa, his eyes shining brightly. Yan looked confused. What did you say? Who should I catch? Straw Hat Kid? Monkey D. Luffy? Sir, his surname is Menki, and the reward order clearly states it. Yan sighed. He felt that he might have offended his boss, otherwise his boss would not have sent him to die directly. After catching Luffy, Garp couldn't beat him to death. Spangdine sneered on the other side, of course I know, I also know that he is the grandson of that bastard Garp, otherwise the order I gave would not have been to capture him alive. Yan felt that something was going on. Catch Monkey D. Luffy, and I will find an official position for you in the CP department. Don't worry, I will never harm you. Spangdane patted his chest and said it was okay. Yan sighed and hung up the phone. I walked to the window and looked at the small naval base and the soldiers training in the base. I had a severe headache. His name is Eiffel Yavin, and he is a time traveler. As soon as he traveled through time, he possessed an unlucky CP. This unlucky guy was sent to the Revolutionary Army as an undercover agent by Spangdine in the name of a CP traitor. Then, because he knew the sixth form of the Navy, he was transformed into a dragon and sent to Doflamingo's underground world as an undercover agent. Doflamingo didn't know what he was thinking, so he sent him to the Navy as an undercover agent. After experiencing this series of events, Yan wanted to complain, you have forced a genius who knows 6 styles to become a pirate version of Minglu, a multifaceted spy. Before Yan's complaint was over, another phone bug in his arms rang. Arvin. When the phone rang, a deep voice sounded. Leader. Yan put away his indifference towards Spangdine and replied seriously. It's time to act. You speak. Did you know that you defeated Monkey D. Luffy of Branch 153? No. Go after him with all your might. Yan was stunned, what the hell is this order? Leader, his surname is Monkey D. The naval hero is also surnamed Monkey D. And your last name is Monkey D. Yan couldn't help complaining in his heart. I can't understand your brain circuit at all. I know that only in this way can you follow him into the Grand Line, and the Navy's upper brass will not doubt your character. Long told a lukewarm joke. Yuan's face turned dark instantly. What kind of personality do I have? If I chase Luffy, no one will suspect me. Are you poisonous? With a snap, Long hung up the phone. Yuan sighed and roared out the window, gather and prepare to sail. Target, Rogue Town. Just when Yuan's voice just fell, another phone bug in his arms rang. I took out the phone and looked at the words Joker on it. I felt like I had a headache. Joker. Hey, long time no see, Yuan. Joker, what do you need from me? Yuan showed a calm expression and faced Doflamingo with the calmest voice. Yuan, it's time for you to take action. Find a way to get to the Grand Line. I'll give you a share of the credit. When the time comes, someone will recommend you to join the headquarters. I need you to break into the Navy headquarters. After saying that, Doflamingo hung up the phone directly. Yuan had a headache. Why do these bosses like to hang up the phone after giving orders? Is he sick or poisonous? With a bang, the office door was pushed open, and a beautiful woman with long legs, slender waist and big breasts walked in with Itachi on her waist. Colonel, why did you suddenly go to Rogue Town? This is an interregional act and you will be held accountable. The beauty's face was full of displeasure, as if she was the commander. Yuan held his forehead and sat down with a headache. Catherine, I am a colonel. Can you please give me some respect and knock on the door before entering? The blonde Catherine snorted disdainfully. Oh, respect. If you increase patrols from once a month to once every 3 days, I will respect you. The words disdainful are written directly on the face. Yuan wanted to curse, why are you so diligent? How much money did the Navy pay you to be so diligent? But looking at the sword on Catherine's waist, she stopped the topic. There is a pirate named Monkey D. Luffy. He defeated Monka from branch 153. I avenge my colleagues and arrest him, so I go to Rogue Town and wait for him, okay? Yuan clenched his fists and gritted his teeth to explain. Catherine looked like this, an expression that was both unreasonable and expected. Monkey D., this is the surname of Navy hero Garp. So you want to capture Monkey D. Luffy, control him, and then hand him over to Lieutenant General Garp to claim credit and gain Lieutenant General Garp's friendship. As expected of my family's scheming colonel, he just has ideas. Catherine said that I have seen through your little plan. Seeing the undisguised contempt on Catherine's face, Arvin clutched his chest, where he was holding his breath and couldn't get up or down. It was extremely uncomfortable. You fart, my master Zifa, my senior brother has 3 great generals today, and I would go and fawn over a mere Garp. It's ridiculous. Yuan finally swallowed his breath and roared angrily. Laughing, Catherine waved her hand, indicating that she understood everything and didn't need to explain. Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel Catherine will go to assemble the army immediately and be ready to go to sea at any time. Saluting, Catherine quickly left. Chapter 2 Bharati. Seeing Catherine holding back her smile and leaving quickly, Yuan was filled with annoyance. What he said this time was true, he was really not afraid of Garp. He waved to the armor on the wall, and the armor was automatically put on. He had short grey hair and stubble on his chin. If there was a 21st century, people who had watched the 7 Deadly Sins anime would definitely shout out, this isn't it Estarossa, also known as True Leaf? Yuan looked in the mirror, took out the short knife from his waist, and looked at his outfit. This skin is his plug-in. Traveler benefits, obtained through a one-time lottery system, character cards, the Great Wronged Estarossa. It's also because of Esterossa's ability that he, Eiffel Arvin, and the one person in the entire pirate world who is least afraid of is Monkey D. Garp. As we all know, the biggest ability of Estarossa, the great enemy, is to counterattack with all physical resources. And all those with non-natural fruit abilities will be very miserable when facing him. Of course, for the sake of fairness, the system added the side effects of the devil fruit to him, which makes him afraid of sea water. If Estarossa hadn't been able to fly, I might have been really cold. Yuan complained and walked away. In the base, the colonel's ship was ready, and Catherine stood in front in a military uniform. Sua Xi looked at it, and sure enough, in the pirate world, the women wore less and the men wore more, especially the Navy, who echoed this sentence. Making a complaint in his heart, Yuan came to the crowd and said loudly, everyone, the new pirate Evil Monkey D. Luffy attacked branch 152 and defeated Monka, which is a tragedy for our Navy. Today, in order to stop evil, we will attack with justice and capture Straw Hat Luffy. For justice. There was a sparse response. Yan took a closer look and saw that the recruits were cheering excitedly, while the veterans lost their passion after hearing the word Monkey D. Catherine stood aside and picked her ears, showing no indifference to Yan's mobilization in front of the station. Get aboard and get ready to go to sea. Yan didn't care about the soldiers' reaction and shouted the order. Whether they were unmotivated veterans or enthusiastic recruits, they all began to board the ship in an orderly manner. Catherine came to Yan. Colonel, let me remind you again, if you go out to sea without permission from the headquarters, you may get your head blown off. Yan sneered and hugged Catherine. Catherine, my dear adjutant, don't forget, my master is General Zifa, and I am my most valued disciple. Catherine sneered twice and slapped Yan's hand away. Oh, if General Zifa really values you the most, why would he allow you to be sent to the East China Sea? Well, in one sentence, Yan was choked and didn't know how to answer it. What you say is really irritating. Yan's eyes also became wandering. He was really sent to the East China Sea. Yan got on the boat awkwardly. Let's go and capture Straw Hat Luffy. On the warship, Yan waved his sword forward. Catherine stood at the bottom and murmured, anyway, I finally worked hard. First stop, Barity, the sea restaurant. Yan's second sentence made Catherine's face full of black lines. You can't carve rotten wood. Sure enough, dogs can't change it and eat it. Catherine was helpless. This guy. The process of sailing a warship is extremely boring. During the long journey, all you can see is a turbulent sea. If some sea beasts didn't appear from time to time to give the soldiers some fun, everyone would be bored to death. After several days of travel, the warship was finally arriving at Barity. Everyone stepped onto the plywood, ready to pack up and enjoy the delicious food. On the watchtower of the warship, the navy who was about to go down shook his head and saw a light rushing from a distance. Before he could react, he was already rushing to the warship. The navy on the plywood looked at the huge slash flying from a distance, and was shocked and speechless. A grey figure flashed past. Counterattack! Yan shouted softly and knocked back the slashing blow with his knife. Flying slash, this is the basic attack of the great swordsman. Is there a great swordsman in the East China Sea? Catherine also appeared on the plywood, looking unhappy. Yan landed on the warship at this time and inserted the knife back into his waist. Don't panic, keep driving. It was interesting to catch up with this famous scene. Yan is a little complicated inside. He never expected that when he came to Barity, he would meet Hawkeye and Zoro. Barity, my hawk, who had just stepped onto the wooden plank and was about to kill Zoro with a knife, turned his head in confusion. Such an inadvertent move angered Zoro, but he did not attack while Hawkeye was distracted, but waited. With whoosh, the repelled slash instantly cut the Creek pirate ship, which had been broken into 2 pieces, into 4 pieces. Creek turned around in panic and saw a warship swaying over. It's the Creek pirates, ready to fight. On the warship, someone discovered Creek and prepared for battle. The musketry squad, the artillery squad, and the melee squad all stood up. Did the navy get wind of it and come to arrest me? Little ones, prepare for battle. When Creek saw the warship, a fierce light emerged in his eyes. This was a great opportunity. He took advantage of the eagle eye and the man to fight and quickly grabbed the warship and escaped. When Aiken of the Creek pirates heard Creek's words, he felt relieved. It was great that he no longer had to deal with Barity's benefactors. Hawkeye glanced at the warship. There was someone who could counterattack my attack. Who was it? We'll talk about it later, deal with the person in front of you first. Turning his head and looking at Zoro, who had not made a sneak attack when he was distracted just now, Hawkeye felt a good feeling in his heart. It was really good news for the chefs of Barity to see the joyful expressions on the warship's face. Catherine watched Hawkeye torture Sauron with a knife and smiled sarcastically. That guy really overestimates his abilities. Yan glanced at it and showed no interest at all. Instead, he stared at the Creek pirates who were ready to rob the warship. The arrest of Creek is also a good achievement. Yan murmured. Discipline, loving kindness. After closing his eyes and opening them again, a circle of black lines appeared on Yan's forehead. Rush, seize the warships, destroy the navy, and attack the Grand Route again. Creek swung the golden warhammer, pointed at the warship and shouted, and his subordinate Ajin was ready to jump off the ship and fight. As Yan looked over, the Creek pirates fell to their knees one after another, unable to use any strength at all. Such a strange scene made everyone in Bharati stunned. What is going on? Crick was pinned down by his golden war hammer and could not move. The magic, what kind of magic is this? The people of the Creek pirates looked at Yan and other marines in panic. Yan staggered off the boat and picked his ears. This is not a magic spell, but a commandment, love. Those who still have murderous intentions and resentment in front of me will lose all power. A true villain never dies from talking too much, Yan introduced easily. Catherine asked her soldiers to capture the Creek pirates. It's so easy to follow Yan and fight the mobs. Unless you meet those top bosses who can control their inner murderous emotions. At this time, Hawkeye has also successfully killed Sauron, and finally chopped Sauron down with a black knife and gave him respect. Arwen also heard Luffy and Zoro's declaration. Get ready for battle and prepare to capture Straw Hat Luffy. Catherine looked at Straw Hat Luffy aside, with a cruel smile on her lips. Catherine flew forward and attacked Straw Hat Luffy with her sword, and the rest of the navy also rushed forward, preparing to capture Zoro Luffy. Luffy at the same time prepared himself for battle. Sorry, I'll hand you over to Lieutenant General Garp. We will gain the Lieutenant General's friendship and there is hope of being transferred back to the headquarters. Hawkeye turned to Arwen. Navy, you were the one who counterattacked my slash. Yan looked at Hawkeye with a sleepy expression and yawned. Well, that's right. Eagle Eye's pupils condensed, and he swung his sword to kill Yan. Chapter 3 Returning with Peach and Lee. Facing Hawkeye's slash, Yan casually drew out his short sword to deal with it. The two swords collided, and the sea parted instantly. The ruins of the Creek pirate ship under their feet were directly broken into pieces. The huge shock wave separated Luffy and Catherine who were about to fight. Catherine waved her sword to block the shock wave and retreated behind Yan. Barity Jeep fought hard to save Barity. Sanji rescued Luffy and Zoro in panic. Catherine looked at the sea that had parted due to the sword fight between the two, as well as Luffy, Zoro and Barity, and secretly hated Hawkeye. A playful smile appeared on Yan's lips. Interestingly, this guy is actually protecting Luffy. Hawkeye, my hawk, as the king of the Shishibukai, you are actually shielding criminals. What do you mean? Catherine asked loudly. There are a few slight touches on the corner of my hawk's mouth that you can't see. Look at Catherine opposite. Female Marine, I'm just seeing Sun Xin happy and fighting against a master of naval swordsmanship. My hawk might be in a good mood and explained it, although this explanation was even more irritating. And as the king of the Shishibukai, I naturally have to kill other pirates. After my hawk finished speaking, he turned around, raised the black knife high, and slashed in the direction of Luffy. The huge momentum shocked the people around him. Luffy's eyes were splitting, Sanji and Zoro were panicking, not knowing what to do. The huge slash fell, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji and the wooden board under their feet were all chopped away, and the sea was cut open again. Seeing the trio turned into stars in the sky due to the impact of the slashing attack, Yan was in a happy mood and Catherine was extremely angry. Eagle, me, Huo, K, give me your life. Catherine's anger exploded with every word, and she drew her knife and slashed at my hawk. The weapon-colored domineering energy covers the entire knife, and it can be used to chop my hawk. My hawk felt even happier when he saw Catherine's domineering and armed appearance, and he fought back unceremoniously. In just 1 minute, the two of them had already cut each other hundreds of times at high speed. My hawk got annoyed and used more force with his sword to knock Catherine away. Yan looked at Catherine who was next to him, her right hand holding the knife couldn't stop shaking, and yawned again. Let's go when we've vented enough. Just go to Rogue Town and wait for the Straw Hat Kid. Yan didn't want to take action. He would fight my hawk for days and nights without a winner. Catherine snorted coldly and looked at Yan angrily. It's because you always look indifferent, like General Kizaru, and only know how to flatter others, so Teacher Zifa sent you to the East China Sea. Arwen shrugged. What can Yan say, he just knows how to be a human being. Hawkeye put away the knife and turned towards the boat. It's interesting to see the loving Eiffel in the East China Sea. Hawkeye sighed and left. That's great. If you don't fight me, I'll be relieved. Arwen and Hawkeye smiled and waved. Hawkeye glanced at him, wait until I am ready to fight you. Dear Eiffel, if you don't prepare yourself mentally and fight rashly, you will easily be tricked to death. Hawkeye is a real person and tells the truth. Jeepu next to him heard the loving Eiffel, and his pupils shrank sharply. It turned out to be him, the loving Eiffel, the former rising star of the navy. GP looked extremely ugly. The chef next to him looked confused. Is this navy man who looks listless so strong? This man once defeated 12 pirates with a bounty of over -million on the Grand Line. GP sneered and said a statistic. Yan scratched his head and jumped to Barity. I don't know if there is any food. My men and I are very hungry. Arvin pointed to Catherine and other marines. GP turned around and realized there was enough to eat. Barati reopened the meal and it was very good. As Hawkeye left, a message rang out in the Grand Line. The former star of the navy, the loving Eiffel, was about to return to the Grand Line. With these words, the entire Grand Line was boiling. The devil is coming back, what should I do? Damn it, wasn't that monster sent to the East China Sea? Countless pirates were distraught. Facing Yuan, they were naturally at a disadvantage. The siege was useless. Marine headquarters, Marine Fando, when the rumor of Hawkeye spread here, a light flashed in Kizura's eyes, it's so scary. Qing Pheasant, brother Yuan is coming back? Then I can sleep more soundly. Akainu, humph, I'm finally back. With a smile on his face, Zifa continued to train new recruits. Another super monster was coming back. Warring states looked confused. It seems that I didn't issue the order. Why are they spreading random rumors? Could it be that I have Alzheimer's disease? At this time, Yuan had already brought his men to Rog Town. Looking at Smoker, who had bulging muscles and smoked 3 cigarettes at a time, with 10 hands on his back, Yuan smiled and said hello, hey, senior brother, long time no see. He smokes more fiercely. Be careful of getting lung cancer. Seeing Smoker with cigarettes tied all over his body and 3 cigars in his mouth, Yuan complained in his heart that he was really a rich man. If he smoked 3 cigars at a time, he would get lung cancer sooner or later. Catherine had a bad face. If you leave your management area without permission without a transfer order, you may be promoted from colonel to private. Faced with Yuan's bad mouth, Smoker returned it unceremoniously. Brother, I want to go back to the headquarters and need a chance. I think the Straw Hat Boy is good. I want to wait for him here. Smoker looked at him with contempt, go away, this is my defense area, go back to your branch. The straw hat is mine too. Smoker retorted unceremoniously. Faced with the expulsion order from Smoker, Yuan was not angry. He took out a cigar from Smoker, and with hellfire coming out of his fingers, he lit it and started smoking. Brother, you have to learn to respect the elderly and love the young, so give me the straw hat. Smoker glanced disdainfully at Yuan, who was smoking a cigar. Poor people can't even afford cigars. Marshal Warring States called and asked me to expel you. Yuan smiled disdainfully, are you kidding? My master Zifa, the 3 generals are my senior brothers. He is just a marshal, but he will become a mere commander. Moreover, Yuan looked at Smoker sideways, brother, will you expel me? Smoker shook his head, I really want to beat you and tell you to get out. But if you don't get out, you will disgust the old Warring States guy. I want to see the old guy's face even more. He's so angry at you that he looks like he's eaten fly shit. Yuan showed a true expression. So you're saying that senior brother Straw Hat Boy was given up to me? Smoker turned around and walked away, get out of here, everyone depends on their own abilities. Give you a chance to compete. Watching Smoker walk away, Yuan's expression calmed down. Catherine. Exist. Go back and let Straw Hat find a way out in Rog Town. Why? Catherine wondered. To repay him with kindness, Smoker gave me a chance. And I have to give him one in return. The 2 of us can leave the East China Sea after chasing Straw Hat. Smorg, you've been here long enough. Catherine nodded, understanding. Chapter 4 Wake Up Gas. In the dead of night, Yuan was lying on the bed at the naval base. He suddenly opened his eyes, looked at the figure standing in front of the window, and stood up suddenly. Leader. Long didn't even look at Yuan, and began to look around the room with his eyes. There are 4 bottles of Million Bailey wine on the table. Is life in the Navy not bad? Yuan can laugh twice, isn't this just to cater to the trend? But don't worry, this is all from smog. You also know that the corrupt Navy is full of corruption. There is Marshal Warring States feeding sheep with expensive paper, there is Hero Garp buying donuts with public funds, there are generals who customize uniform suits and smoke special cigars, and the generals below are even more outrageous than the last. Not to mention Ghost Spider himself using the 8-sword, T-Dolphin and Peach Rabbit even went on a trip and vacation at public expense, and Nasmog smoked 3 cigars. I have no choice but to follow in their footsteps. But don't worry, I will never forget that I am a noble revolutionary soldier, and I will never let the corruption of the Navy affect my noble soul. Yuan's words were righteous, impassioned, and full of corrupt contempt for the upper echelons of the Navy. Long was embarrassed by Yuan's impassioned words, and the corner of his mouth twitched slightly, and he couldn't help but complain in his heart, "Do you know, I sent you to the underground world just because I was afraid that you would lead my revolutionary soldiers astray? But who knew you would end up in the Navy?" Although he was embarrassed by what Yuan said, Long quickly became formal and said in a heavy voice, "Yuan, the wind of the world has blown. I hope you can return to the upper level of the Navy headquarters as soon as possible to provide us with intelligence." When Yuan heard this, he immediately showed an expression that he would go to hell for the organization without hesitation. "No problem, Chief. Please rest assured, Chief. Yuan will definitely complete the mission. Only..." Long was very excited when he saw Yuan's statement at the beginning, but now he heard the turning point and was a little confused. "There are still problems. It's just that, leader, you also know that whether I can be promoted or not is in the control of those big shots. I need..." The 2 fingers were squeezing and squeezing, with an expression that he is poor. Long looked at his clothes and saw that he was not rich either. He frowned and asked, "The Navy is so corrupt now. Why don't you give me a promotion if you have merit?" He can give him credit as he pleases, but how will he get the money? Yuan feels wronged. You have also seen that when I defeated 12 pirates worth over -million in the Grand Line, but was relegated to the East China Sea, you can know that not only do you have to have a background and merit, but you also have to have money to let those civil servants let's all get some. Well, hearing this, Long was helpless. Yuan came from the elite camp. Just like what he said, his master was Zifa. Since Yuan said this, maybe the Navy is really corrupt now and it costs money to do things. The dragon patted Yuan on the shoulder. "Wait a minute. You take the credit first, and I'll take care of it. How much do you need?" When Long thought of the headquarters of the Revolutionary Army, they all began to eat sand. The huge Revolutionary Army didn't even have a natural element. How poor it was! But Yuan has to support it. Not supporting him would be heartbreaking. 100 million. Yuan whispered, a little embarrassed. The dragon's face was extremely dark, a gust of wind blew by, and the person had disappeared. Yuan looked around and saw no one, so he continued to sleep. In the early morning, Yuan woke up to the sound of gold and iron. Looking out the window, Smoker was violently torturing Catherine and Dusky. Their bodies turned into smoke, and their 10 hands flew in the air. Dusky and Catherine were back to back, facing the smoke flying in the sky, and there was no good solution for a moment. Tisk, Yuan smiled disdainfully, Smoker was as weak as ever, or Zifa wouldn't like him. Yuan jumped into the air, and purple flames appeared in his hands. Hellfire! The terrifying flames enveloped him like a smoker. Catherine and Dusky stepped aside. Smoker's smoke was burned out, and the man reappeared from the distance, holding a cigar and staring at Yuan with a gloomy face. "Yuan, what do you want, you bastard?" Yuan shrugged and looked down on Smoker. "Smoker, my dear senior brother, fortunately we are both students of General Zifa. Where is your physical skills? Where's your dominance? If you want to fight Catherine, you have to rely on fruit power to fight her. She's really weak." With undisguised contempt, Smoker looked ugly. "That's it, you still want to go back to the Grand Line?" Yuan's foul mouth directly made Smoker furious. He held 10 hands and rushed towards Yuan. Just when the 10 hands were about to attack Yuan, Smoker suddenly fell down weakly. Yuan looked at him and made a tut-tut sound, his contempt became even stronger. "Brother, you can't even control your own heart. You haven't polished yourself enough in the past few years in Donghai. As we all know, the commandments are two-way. Others cannot have hatred towards Yuan, and Yuan cannot have hatred towards other people." Dashki rushed over and helped Smoker up, glaring at Yuan angrily. "Colonel Yavan, Colonel Smoker is already very strong, please don't humiliate him." Yuan glanced at Dashki, hurt him. The disdainful voice was directly exposed. He must be humiliating himself. The former number 1 in the recruit camp, Now there are people who have been promoted to brigadier general in the headquarters during the same period, but he is still sitting in the position of colonel, and he is still the colonel in Donghai. Even if you don't get the position, what about your combat power? Is it your lifelong pursuit to abuse food in the East China Sea? Brother, who is, humiliating whom? Smoker looked at Yuan angrily and slammed his fist on the ground. The fruits can be developed and the body can be exercised, but if your mind fails, you will be just like this. Yuan waved his hand, left the training ground, and went to the cafeteria to eat. Phew, the anger of waking up early and affecting sleep finally dissipated. Yuan said that he had 3 bowls of rice. Smoker stared at Yuan's retreating figure and closed his eyes in pain. 3 days later, at noon, when Yuan was eating, Dashki found him in a panic. Colonel Yavan, Colonel Smoker. He has locked himself in his room for 3 days. Go and see him quickly. Yuan blinked, looking confused. Catherine next to her held her forehead and sighed. Since Smoker was attacked by you, he locked himself in the room. He must be reflecting. After all, relying on his talent, he should have mastered the domineering force. What is domineering? Dashki next to him was confused. What was that? It's a bad street, and it's a ticket to the strong. Yuan glanced at Dashki and knew what she was thinking in her heart, and explained casually. Then he continued to cook, and pressed Dashki here to cook, eat. Smoker doesn't have to worry about you. It's not a problem for a real strong man to fight for 10 days and 10 nights, let alone just 3 days without eating or fighting. Dashki was still flustered, and finally annoyed. Yuan finished his meal, took a nap, and began to wander towards Smoker's room. Just when Yuan was hesitating about how to enter handsomely, Smoker's door opened by itself, and Smoker walked out. His complexion was yellow, but his eyes were full of energy, so there was nothing wrong with him at first glance. When Yuan hesitated what to say, Smoker spoke first, help me train my haki. Okay. Yuan subconsciously agreed. On the other side, Long was still hesitating about how to get money. After hesitating for a long time, he finally decided to let it go and go see Luffy first. Chapter 5 Rogue Town Riots. Yuan regretted it. Yuan later regretted it. He had nothing to do and promised Smoker to help him develop his domineering spirit. As a result, he can't sleep at all now. Fight with Smoker every day. The best way to practice domineering is to get beaten. As long as you get beaten enough, and as long as you take the beating in the right posture, domineering will appear over time. Smoker didn't lack physical exercise or medicinal herbs to keep himself healthy, but what he lacked was a beating. Forcing his body to have a sense of crisis, forcing his body to automatically defend itself. In the entire base, only Yuan can do this. On the school field, Yuan wielded a knife with one hand and forced Smoker one blow after another. Every time, it gives people the feeling of being on the verge of death, and every blow carries the aura of killing you if it hits you. The violent storm attacks kept coming, and Yuan didn't care about the despair in Smoker's eyes, and he was more or less vindictive. Let you disturb my rest. Just call me if you want to get up early. It makes you not sleep properly every day and exercise in the middle of the night. Facing Smoker who was disturbing his rest, the resentful smile on Yuan's lips grew bigger and bigger, and the power of the slash he wielded became more and more powerful. Finally, black light emerged from Smoker's hands, and he took Yuan's slash. Smoker breathed a sigh of relief and sat down on the ground. Yuan also breathed a sigh of relief and finally finished the beating. At this time, a navy man ran over. Colonel Smoker, Colonel Arvin, this is Straw Hat's latest reward order. Smoker and Arvin took it. 3,000 million, a 3, followed by many zeros. What did he do? Smoker looked at the soldier with ferocious eyes. The young sailor spat and was frightened. Straw Hat Luffy, he defeated 2,000 million pirates, the Fishman Dragon and the Mouse Colonel. And the headquarters said that after counting his achievements, he defeated Bucky the Clown, Crow, the Murloc Dragon, Colonel Mouse and Colonel Menka, and set a bounty of 3,000 million for him. Smoker took a long drag on his cigar, exhaled a large puff of smoke, turned around and left. Arvin looked at Catherine who was walking in. Catherine, prepare the ship and send people to protect the port. If you encounter the sheephead pirate ship, report it to me immediately. Yuan quickly ordered, took a look at the direction in which Smoker disappeared, and instantly headed towards the execution platform where he already knew the location. Everything was just like what was performed in the original work. Bucky the Clown caught Luffy and prepared to execute him on the execution platform. Zoro and Sanji rushed over to save him. The sky was covered with dark clouds. Yan could vaguely see lightning crackling among the dark clouds. The scene of Luffy smiling at death shocked everyone present. There were actually people who were so calm in the face of death. Yan had a smile on his face. The knife fell, the thunder fell, the execution platform disappeared, and a grinning figure emerged from the smoke and dust, as if it wanted to bring joy to the world. I'm alive again. There is no sadness of dying, just happy smiles. Zoro, Sanji, started running away. Heavy rain was pouring down. Luffy pulled Zoro Sanji and ran away. The artillery and guns arranged by the navy were useless. Smoker cursed angrily, turned into smoke and chased away. Catherine stood guard at the port, waiting for Yan's arrival. Point 7. A gust of wind blew, and the dragon appeared behind Yan and handed him a big box. 100 million Baileys. Why did you save him? Yan looked calm and asked knowingly. Long looked at the dark clouds in the sky. The wind is blowing, don't you think it is hope? The violent storm rose, and the dragon's figure disappeared instantly. At the port, facing Luffy and the other two people, Catherine drew her sword to stop them. She hit Luffy's chest hard, knocking him back, and a strong wind hit him. Then, Catherine suffered a heavy blow to the abdomen and fell to her knees. Smoker chased from behind, rose up in the air, held down Luffy's head, and waved his 10 hands to end his life when he was held down. Looking at his face clearly visible amid the lightning and thunder, Smog-Mog looked panicked. It's you. During the heavy rain, during the fight, the dragon threw Luffy out, and the strong wind blew up, blowing Luffy onto the Mary. The Mary at the port used the strong wind in the sky to sail towards the Grand Line. Catherine stood up with strength, Smoker held Ten's hands, and the two of them surrounded the dragon. The world has already started to turn, why should you stop it? Long looked at the two men with murderous intent and asked softly. Haki covers the 10-handed swing attack. Dominance covered the sword, and he slashed at the dragon without hesitation. There is no hesitation, no rhetoric, only attacks from one's own position. The dragon moved into the wind, causing the two's attacks to fail. The strong wind blew away the straw hats, and a father saw off his son. The strong wind brought sin to Rog Town, and a villain broke the peace of Rog Town. The remnants of the pirate group that had been destroyed by Smoker, and the pirates who quietly sneaked into Rog Town for supplies, took advantage of Smoker's rush to the port. And the violent winds and chaos in Rog Town, and they all walked out of their holes. Charge, under heavy rain, the Navy's artillery cannot be used, break through the naval base, and seize wealth and weapons. Ha 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 ha, Smoker has been defeated, now is a good time for us to rob Rog Town. Grab, rush. The people were fleeing in all directions, and the villains were laughing wildly and looting crazily. Some smart villains are coercing the people, trying to threaten Smoker later so they can escape from Rog Town. Yan listened to the bursts of wild laughter and screams coming from below, and his heart was filled with waves. He stood up calmly, spread his black wings behind him, floated in the air, and pulled out the short knife from his waist. With one knife, he cut away the dark clouds in the sky, cut away the violent storm, and revealed the sunshine that should have been there. This knife attracted everyone in Rog Town. Discipline kindness activates. Anyone who harbors ill intentions, evil thoughts, or resentment in front of me will lose the right to exercise power. The villains in Rog Town suddenly found that they had lost all their strength, and looked in fear at the young man in mid-air, with black wings spread out, a short knife in hand, and a grey armor. Catherine, Smoker, lead all the navy into the city and capture all the villains. The plain voice of command spread throughout Rog Town. A handsome figure floats in mid-air. Smoker and Catherine also reacted at this time and quickly led the army into Rog Town. Smoker secretly resented it. It's all because of my own arrogance, which gave those guys an opportunity. Yan's eyes met the dragon in a certain attic not far away. Disappointment appeared in Yan's eyes. In the eyes of the dragon, it seems to be saying, Chief, for the so-called hope of freedom, are you just ignoring the people of Rog Town? Yan didn't look at the dragon. He looked at some villains who were threatening to hold the people hostage. He chopped off the dagger in his hand, and the villain's head and body separated instantly. A reporter filmed this scene. It's loving Eiffel, he's back. Then he smiled ecstatically. He is the scourge of evil and the hope of men. Chapter 6 What happened 5 years ago? In Rogue Town, Smoker and Catherine led people to quickly arrest all the villains who lost their power because of the commandment compassion. Yan and Smoker both sat at the port with bad expressions. In the distance, a sailor ran over with a phone bug in his arms. Who? Yan took out his ears. He was floating in the air just now and his ears were a little wet. Colonel Yan, this is Marshal Warring State's phone number. Yan glanced at the phone bug, reached out to grab it, and threw it into the sea. Not long after, Dashki came over with a phone bug in his arms. Smoker gritted his teeth and took a look at it, and said disdainfully, "Whose is it?" "Report to Colonel Smoker. This is the call from headquarters. Hang up or throw it into the sea." Dusky was stunned and didn't know what to do. Smoker stood up and threw the phone bug into the sea. At the Marine headquarters, Marine Fando, a top-level meeting was underway. Marshal Sengoku stared at the phone with an angry look on his face. A gloomy expression swept over King Z and Zifa, who had finally come to attend a meeting. "You two bastards spoiled them. Now they're fine. They're both AWOL. What should we do?" The green pheasant didn't even take off its blindfold, it looked like I was sleeping and didn't know anything. Zifa sat aside and looked at the document in his hand silently. "What are you talking about? I don't understand. As everyone knows, I, Zifa, teach ruthless people." Cough cough. Finally, he coughed twice, attracting the attention of everyone present. Point 7. Before he could speak, a soldier quickly ran in, holding a fax. Sengoku saw the soldier and motioned for him to come in. "Marshal Warring States, Morgan sent tomorrow's newspaper headlines and asked us if we could publish them." Warring States received the fax and looked at the first photo of Yan floating in the air. The black wings spread out behind him, making the whole figure look like a fallen angel. Warring States looked at the three generals attending the meeting, Staff He and Chief Instructor Zifa, and snorted dissatisfied, "Now let's discuss the arrangements for Eiffel Yavin and Smoker." Everyone looked at each other, they all knew these two things. Smork is easy to handle. With his character, he will definitely chase Straw Hat into the Grand Line. When the time comes, he can just find a name and transfer him back to the headquarters. The problem is Eiffel Jarvan. Crane's eyes flashed with danger, and the others were silent. "You all should know that there is a problem with Yan's identity," Warring States said solemnly. Zifa scratched his head. He knew this, but he loved talents. That Yan was really to his liking. As a member of the New Era Navy who ate a devil fruit and had super buggy abilities, but was crazy about pursuing physical fitness, he liked it very much. Nowadays, fewer and fewer people pay attention to physical skills, and most of them take shortcuts. He glanced at Zifa with a headache. "Old man, you know you are here just to exonerate that guy. You want to explain things to him." Warring States was silent for a moment and then spoke slowly, "When Yan returns to headquarters, I will talk to him personally. I don't believe there is any force more attractive than the Navy." Hearing this, he, Zifa and the three generals all looked at Warring States in shock. Warring States was full of confidence, and a convincing aura gathered around him. Coupled with the justice that dominates the world after wearing it, the whole person looks extremely handsome. Warring States fed the facts on the table to the little goat at his feet. "Soldier, go and tell Morgans to write an article about the return of the loving Eiffel. The 5-year period of the title has arrived, and the god of war returns." He looked at Warring States, opened his mouth, but said nothing in the end. End of the meeting. The three generals and Zifa left. Before leaving, he took out a document. "Warring States, this is sent by Virgo, the director of New World G5 base. He hopes that the Navy will not bury talents. The 5-year punishment period has expired. He hopes that we will let Yan return to the headquarters. If you are not worried, let him go to the New World. He will take care of it himself." "Ah!" Warring States sneered. "It's really interesting when a person with a questionable identity recommends another person with a questionable identity." He was frightened by Sengoku's words. What did it mean? Crane frowned momentarily. "Sengoku, are you saying there is something wrong with Virgo?" Sengoku pouted. "The 5 bases in the New World station a general-level combat force all year round. On the one hand, it is to guard against the impact of the 4 emperors, and on the other hand, it is to deter spies in the Navy. CP, pirates, the Revolutionary Army, and the underground world, these 4 parties are the main ones. The rest include the senior officials in the world government and the various kingdoms who have intervened and won over. Not too much. Warring State's eyes flashed, but he was not afraid. Crane nodded, indeed. Virgo seems to have passed the test of time and become a qualified old navy, but don't forget that he is too wantless. A smile appeared on Sengoku's lips. As a navy, you are so devoid of desires and demands, which makes me, the marshal, very disbelieving. You said you were for justice? Isn't this bullshit? That yawn. He hesitated, since you know, why do you still want to meet? Wouldn't it be better to just send the general to strangle it in the cradle? Just like Zifa said, he is too talented and too palatable. This young man is worth getting in touch with. Besides, I don't believe any force is more attractive than the navy. Sengoku's confidence infected he and made her stop talking. The next day, an overwhelming amount of newspapers were distributed to the entire world. Everyone who looked at the huge headline thought of the incident 5 years ago, and then lamented how fast time passed. 12 pirates from the Grand Line, with a bounty of more than $1 million, formed a coalition to conquer a kingdom and attempt to build a pirate country. The Navy recruit Eiffel Yavin, who had just come out of the recruit camp and served as the captain of the Navy headquarters, led the fleet to stop it. At that time, people knew what discipline love was, suppressed tens of thousands of pirates by themselves, and killed the entire pirate alliance alone. In the end, because of excessive killing, he was exiled to the East China Sea and given a 5-year term. This is what the outside world knows. And within the Navy, it's because he sent someone to organize the disciplinary inspection department. That bastard Yan dared to withhold all the loot 5 years ago, and he still dares to do it now. When the meeting ended and he was leaving, Warring States gritted his teeth and ordered. Because of one man, the Navy formed a department. He nodded helplessly, which was really a helpless move. Specifically used to check Yan. All the treasures of the 12 pirate groups were seized, and Sengoku almost went crazy at that time. The salary in the Navy can only be said to be pretty good. There are 2 main sources of extra income. The tax dividends from the naval base. Some navies run their own bases well and collect good taxes, so they will give dividends to their subordinates. The second is the loot obtained from apprehending pirates. Find treasures, bounty rewards, etc. The unspoken rule is usually a 3-3-4 dividend, with the general getting 3, the Navy headquarters getting 4, and the soldiers below getting 3. Some navies are diligent and quite a few have made a fortune from it. Chapter 7 Arrogant and Domineering. Hey, Yan, now that you are famous, all you need is merit to get promoted. Well done. I said that if you enter the Grand Line, I will give you a great contribution. Now, let's go to Terra Island. That is Ferdald's territory. He has been doing special job placement work recently. I will give you the information later. In the office of the captain of the warship, Yan looked at the phone bug in front of him and scratched his head. It's really good. The credit comes as it comes. But he still worked for Doflamingo. Doflamingo was also doing this special job placement work. Thinking of this, the corner of Yan's mouth twitched. Damn it, if I couldn't fall out with you, I would definitely kill you. Pushing open the office door, he shouted to the Navy below, transfer to Terra Island. Catherine frowned below, wondering what Yan was thinking, but considering Yan's strength, it was better not to refute at this time. As soon as I walked back to the office, the phone rang again. Yan felt relaxed this time. When he was some distance away from the phone bug, he used a short knife to pick it up. Yan, what's wrong with you? With your strength, why haven't you caught the Straw Hat Boy yet? A roar came from inside the phone bug. Be careful for me. I am the only one in the world government who knows your identity. Be careful because I really make you a traitor. Spondayan's threat was self-evident. Yan plucked his ears and said nonchalantly, I can't help it. I met the dragon in Rog Town. I can't beat him, so naturally I can't catch the Straw Hat Boy. Refer anything to the leader. Spangdine was speechless. Looking at it this way, it wasn't that Yan didn't try his best, but he could also play rogue. Asshole, I don't care about this, where are you going now? Yan looked at the navigation map. Tila Island, I heard that there is a pirate group there named Ferdald. I plan to knock him out and get some credit so that I can improve my position. On the other side of the phone bug, Spangdane stopped being angry and flipped through a book in his hand. He kept searching and finally found the page he wanted. It was an introductory profile, and the photo showed a disgusting middle-aged man with an unshaven beard. After thinking about it for a moment, Spangdine said slowly, Ferdod, the captain of the crocodile pirates, once tried to enter the New World, but was beaten back by the navy, so he quietly hid on Terra Island. He is currently engaged in the introduction of special industries. The job is mainly to introduce people to the kingdom of Santonlia next to Terra Island. Ferdod is a crocodile man who took the form of a crocodile after eating the fish fruit of the animal system. He has become domineering after traveling to the New World. The bounty is 2,000 million. Spangdine told a string of information. Yan was shocked. You are not just a flatterer. Yan, kill this guy, and you will be promoted in the navy with the credit. After killing him, give me all the people in his hands to the Revolutionary Army. Yan shrugged, nothing wrong, it's whatever you say. Spangdine hung up the phone and picked up another one. Spondum, let your subordinate Gabra disguise himself and sneak into the crocodile pirates on Terra Island. In a few days, someone will eliminate the crocodile pirates and transfer the personnel to the Revolutionary Army. Let Gabra sneaking in, this is a big job, get it done for me. Do you hear me clearly? For the sake of his son, Spangdine was heartbroken. Yan hung up the phone on Spangdine and picked up the phone bug that could contact Long. Leader. What's up? When Long saw it was Yan's call, his heart trembled. This guy wouldn't ask for money again. The Revolutionary Army is short of personnel. I am going to knock out the crocodile pirates on Terra Island. Do you want to accept the personnel who will be introduced by them to engage in special work? Yan said with a smile, this time he came with credit. Long nodded with satisfaction, he was worthy of being the revolutionary warrior he fancied, and his work was satisfying. Okay, I'll ask the nearby branch chief to bring someone to pick you up. No problem. After I finish this job, I can get a promotion and a salary increase. At that time, I will contribute more to the path of the Revolutionary Army. Long hung up the phone with comfort in his heart. In the New World, Doflamingo is giving orders to the underground world, making people ready to take over the underground world of the Kingdom of Sanglia at any time. After saying hello to Smoker, Yan happily drove the boat to Terra Island. Hey, this time I will complete the mission of the 3 bosses, happy. Yan is 100% sure that these 3 bosses all have a hand in this mess. As for how to make money, that's not his problem. He just needs to be himself. Terra Island was not completely closed yet, but just looking at it from a distance, Yan smelled a disgusting smell. Point 7. Catherine and Yan stood on the warship together, looking at the Terra Island shrouded in dark clouds from a distance. Colonel, what should we do? Drive over directly? Do you need to send someone to investigate first? Yan narrowed his eyes and smiled. No need at all. We are just patrolling Navy. We are here to resupply. Are they still refusing to let us go? We are messengers of justice. Yan smiled like a fox. Tell the artillery squad, musketry squad and melee squad to pack up their weapons and prepare for 24-hour battles. Then take the money and go to the island to have some fun. Catherine went down to work. At the same time, in the tallest castle on the island of Terra, a bearded man smoked a cigar, hugged the beauty, and listened to the report from the people below. The beauty was covered with a blanket and moved. The person reporting below did not dare to raise his head. Captain, a warship is coming. Ferdald pinched the beauty hard with his hand covered with gold rings, which made the beauty squeal and burst into laughter. What are you afraid of? Let Er accompany the mayor to scare him. Ferdald didn't care at all. He waved his hand and told his subordinates to go away. He wanted to enjoy the beauty. Loud sounds echoed throughout the castle. The warship entered the harbour. Yan was wearing grey armour, a short sword at his waist, and a cape behind him. He had the words "I am a navy" written on his face. Catherine followed helplessly. If you want to destroy the pirate group that occupies the island as king, you should investigate the situation. Why are you still so quiet? I really want to beat my brainless leader to death. The marines behind them were holding a lot of Baileys in their hands, looking like we were going to consume them. As soon as he stepped off the ship, a fat middle-aged man in a suit rushed over at the port under the protection of the guards. Lord Marine! The Drake voice made Yan tremble. What the hell? The muscular middle-aged bodyguard behind the fat middle-aged man was also frightened by the voice and trembled all over. Master Navy! Our Terra Island is going to hold a grand ceremony on the island, and it is not convenient to host it recently. The fat middle-aged mayor rubbed his hands and smiled with a look of embarrassment on his face. Yan glanced at the mayor and sneered, "Do you know who I am?" The fat mayor shook his head in embarrassment, he really didn't know. "My master, Zifa, is a former navy general, and my senior brother is currently one of the 3 generals. Believe it or not, I borrowed the golden phone bug of the demon-slaying order in a matter of seconds, and I summoned you to destroy you. Believe it or not, 4 of the 5 lieutenant generals in the demon-slaying order are my senior brothers. Ah, believe it or not. What does it mean to be domineering? What is a related household? That's it." The fat mayor was stunned on the spot. What an awesome relationship. He slapped the mayor on the face with a big slap, and the huge force made the mayor roll over. The mayor was too weak to speak, and everyone around him was suffocated. Phew, spitting on the mayor. "If you can, go to the Navy headquarters and file a complaint against me. Remember, my name is Smoker." Yan walked in proudly, and the mayor's bodyguard didn't dare to stop him. Catherine looked at the arrogant Yan and just wanted to say how cool it was. Chapter 8 Solving the Battle. As for Smoker's name in Arvin, who is that? Is she related to Catherine? Are they from the same team? Not really. Catherine stepped directly over the fat mayor lying on the ground and glanced disdainfully at the bodyguard behind him. The veterans behind Catherine led the new recruits and also crossed over. He didn't care at all that he was stepping over others. He was very domineering and overbearing. Such behavior directly made the fat mayor angry. He wanted to get up, but was kicked down by a veteran carrying a gun and wearing a monocle. "What are you doing blindly? Don't you know we have to maintain our formation?" After all the Marines left, the second leader of the crocodile pirates, who was pretending to be a bodyguard, helped the fat mayor up. The fat mayor looked at him with resentment. Why didn't he save him? "I'm afraid that if I beat him to death, a bunch of people will come to take revenge, and then our business will be over." Yan casually wandered around the town of Terra on Terra Island, but the people who came and went had their heads lowered, and they were all walking in a hurry, as if there were some monsters. The Navy soldiers wandered around, and some went to the tavern to drink, and then they found him. There were 2 or 3 kinds of wine in the tavern. Some wanted to find girls, but found that there were no shops. "I'm holding the banknotes issued by Colonel Stingy, but you don't even have an entertainment venue opened by your family. Do you still want to hang out?" Even the logistics department that purchased supplies couldn't find a place that could sell enough supplies. Yan wandered around the island, and finally returned to the boat amidst the mayor's mocking laughter. When the soldiers returned to the boat, they found Yan sitting on the side of the boat waiting for them with his legs dangling. "Hey, you didn't spend a penny!" Yan mocked. "I paid you money. You can't say I'm stingy in the future." Catherine was speechless when she saw how happy Yan was mocking his subordinates for being useless. The veteran with the monocle shrugged and came to Yan's side. "Colonel, to be honest, you had expected this." Coming back from the side, the veterans with unlucky faces also looked at their leaders with resentful eyes. "There's nothing wrong with it. Your own leaders are capable of doing this kind of thing, so you don't tell them if you know it. I just made some guesses, and now it seems that I was right. Gino, use your knowledge and domineering power to scan this island, especially the castle on the top of the island." Gino, who was wearing a monocle, frowned and closed his eyes. When he opened them again, his face was full of shock. The others were waiting for Gino's answer. "How is this going? Why is there so little life in a small town, but so much life in the mountains, and the people in that castle have so much vitality that it's comparable to an island?" Yan chuckled. "Because Ferdald will certainly not rule, and every entertainment industry that existed on this island has collapsed because no one is enjoying it." Catherine frowned, dissatisfied. "Don't those pirates enjoy it?" As if hearing some big joke, Yan burst out laughing. "Do you think a pirate would enjoy being paid on the island he rules?" A rhetorical question, everyone understood. The people still alive on this island are either members of the crocodile pirates, or they are the old, weak, sick, and disabled who are struggling to make a living by farming in the mountains. Yan said with a normal expression. "Gino. Exist. Lead people to lurk into the island, and report any ships coming back from the outside. Then Catherine, lead people to intercept them for me." "Yes. I'm not used to looking for people, so I'd better let them come to me." Dash. After dark. In the castle, Ferdald was lying on a chair, the beauty in his arms was changed, and there were many more people in the hall. The mayor, members of the pirate group, and beautiful beauties all appeared here, and they were having a grand banquet. Outside the castle, there was constant noise, and the pirates watching at night couldn't help but touch their younger brother. They could imagine the grand occasion inside. The fine wine, meat, fruits, and beautiful women that the navy could not buy outside during the day were treated as if they were worthless at the banquet. At the harbor, Gino and Catherine led their men to snipe the members of the pirate group guarding the harbor one by one, quietly and with clean movements. In the quiet port near midnight, a newly returned ship looked at the navy warship parked in the port and was a little confused as to why no one informed them. However, they still approached as usual. Now they were merchant ships. Gino squatted at the highest point of the harbor, holding a primitive musket in his hand. Send a message to Catherine. Taking to the skies, Catherine led the melee team and quickly rushed to the returning ship. With 3 strikes, 5 divided by 2, they captured the opponent silently. In the middle, anyone who tried to escape was sniped and killed by Gino, who stood at the highest point. No one can escape. After taking down the ship, opening the storage room at the bottom of the ship, looking at the strong men, beauties, children, and various supplies inside, and looking at the shackles on their hands, Catherine already knew what was going on. Drive the ship to the warship. That night, 3 boats came back one after another. In the early morning, Ferdald woke up from a hangover. He did not find that the members who had gone to sea had returned to report as usual, and he felt bad. He threw the beauty who was sleeping on him directly, put on his pants and walked out of the castle. Looking down from the signing castle at the top of the island, he was shocked to find that the 3 ships that were supposed to report to him were closely attached to the warships. On the ships, one of the cargoes who was originally waiting for employment was now drinking broth on the deck, gathering in 2s and 3s. Jan looked at a young man with a mustache mixed in the crowd with interest. Jan seemed to feel something. He looked back, looked at Ferdald in front of the castle, and gave him a smile. Thanks to brother Ferdald for the upcoming promotion. Ferdald saw the mocking smile in Jan's eyes and shouted to the sky angrily. With the roar, his body expanded rapidly, and a 5-meter-long crocodile appeared in front of the castle. Jan didn't care, just sitting on the edge of the boat. The members of the Crocodile Pirates pirate group located in the castle appeared one after another when they heard the boss's roar. When Ferdald saw all his men appearing, he walked straight towards the warship on his 4 short legs. Jan just looked at the opponent's sprinting figure, and the smile on his lips never faded. Passing through an entire town, rushing down the mountain road, and arriving at the port, we were faced with the Navy's fully equipped artillery squad. Cannons were set up one after another, and they were fired instantly when the pirates got close. The musketry team struck accurately. Catherine and the melee team were on standby, ready for close combat at any time. Facing the attack of 20 cannons, Ferdald was worthy of being a billionaire pirate. He used his animal form to rush forward, intending to drive the artillery squad away. Catherine held the knife to block Ferdald's impact. Gino hid behind and took aim, shooting one pirate at a time, and supporting Catherine from time to time. It was the first time that Catherine faced a being like Ferdald, who attacked with pure force, without any sense of opportunism. It's a powerful attack, a super powerful attack, etc. Very straightforward. Jan sat on the edge of the boat, watching this scene quietly, with no intention of interfering, and put away the commandments. Watching his troops fight against the Ferdald pirates. In the distance on the sea, the envoy from Doflamingo in the underground world was talking with the nobles of Sant Ilia, discussing the establishment of new trade. On the other side of the island, a group of inexplicable people quietly entered the island and began to look for the previously oppressed people. They entered the castle and began to solve the tragic women. Among the people Jan rescued last night, a young man with a mustache had his eyes darting around, planning something. Ferdald finally took down Catherine and whipped her away with his tail. When he was about to go up to finish the attack, he was shot back by Gino. Jan looked at Catherine, who was covering his arm, and saw that the knife was broken. He was half kneeling on the ground, gasping for air. He pulled out the short knife from his waist, jumped lightly, and came to the center of the battle. Seeing the sudden appearance of Jan, Ferdald's pupils shrank sharply. How did this guy appear? Never mind, let's talk first. Hell bites. He bit Jan with a big mouthful, but Jan couldn't move. The moment it closed, it exploded, and everyone watching looked confused. Full counterattack. Jan said softly. What happened? Ferdald has returned to his normal form due to the big explosion. Yuan smiled mockingly, it seems you can't bear the force of your bite. Just as Ferdald was about to speak, he was shot through the heart by Gino. Thank you, brother Ferdald, for the promotion. Before he died, Ferdald vaguely heard this sentence. Yuan killed the remaining pirate group members with one blow. Save trouble. The medical team rushed in and quickly treated the injured. Clean up the battlefield with no injuries and go collect the trophies that belong to us. Yuan rushed to the castle on the top of the mountain. Chapter 9 Hanging up the phone during the Warring States period. Catherine forced herself to stand up, watching Yuan spread his wings, drop his subordinates, and fly straight to the top of the mountain. The corners of his mouth twitched, and he asked the medical captain Fupakai to give her a simple bandage first, and then began to organize the manpower to make arrangements. I will crucify the corpses of these pirates and place them on the seashore as a warning to those lawbreakers. Catherine ordered coldly. Yuan flew into the sky and saw people coming in and out of the castle, carrying boxes one after another, and yelled, "Put down my treasure!" The sound was so loud and spread so widely that everyone around here heard it. The young man with a mustache among the slaves couldn't help but murmured, "So the rumors are true. This guy loves money as much as his life." Doflamingo's men in the sea not far away and the nobles of Saint Onlia were all startled by the roar. Then everyone only saw Yuan, who was in the office and reached the top of the castle in a few seconds. Yuan landed and saw a man with eyes waiting here. The rest of the people had disappeared. He raised his eyebrows and said, "Sent by the dragon leader." Looking at the other person's clothes, Yuan said that he could guess which party he was from. Spangden's men all wear suits and ties, while Doflamingo's men all wear fancy clothes. Only members of the Revolutionary Army wear the simplest clothes, symbolizing that he and others will not be separated from the masses. Pushing his eyes, the man with the eyes nodded, indicating that he was right. What to do next? How do we hand over the manpower? The man with eyes asked Yuan in confusion. Yuan closed his eyes and felt it. All the treasures in the basement were still there, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Opening his eyes, he saw a man with glasses from the Revolutionary Army who looked puzzled. Yuan opened his mouth and said angrily, "Why are you still here, waiting to be caught by me?" The man with glasses clenched his fists and resisted the urge to punch him. He pushed up his glasses and said with a forced smile, "Mr. Yuan, how should I hand over the hand next?" Yuan stared at him with a look that looked like a fool. "Hand over? Who do you think I am on the surface? Hand over the ghost. We are not from the same power. Get out of here right now." With that said, Yuan grabbed the other person and threw him out hard. The man with glasses felt the strange strength in his body, and an awkward smile appeared on his lips. Yuan clapped his hands and muttered, "I always thought that the CP was overdue, but it turns out that the heads of the Revolutionary Army guys don't look normal either. Sure enough, I should protect my navy identity." Muttering, Arvin began to count the wealth in the castle. Not long after, the navy on the ship also finished cleaning the battlefield, and came to help one after another, coming to the castle to move the wealth accumulated by Ferdald. In the end, 1 billion Baileys were calculated abruptly, and a bounty for Drought Jack was directly issued. Yuan's eyes gleamed, "It's so cool. As expected, I still don't want to hand it over to the Navy headquarters." Yuan said that he was not stingy, it was just too much. "You can quit your job and change companies, but I really don't want to hand over the money." Yuan's nonsense did not affect Major Mahler, who was in charge of overall logistics in the detachment. They should be divided and handed in. They no longer wanted to be exiled to the world because of this trivial matter. Yuan sat aside, being stared at by Gino and several combatants. He even prepared seafloor stone handcuffs, fearing that Yuan would make some bad decision. They wanted to go back to their headquarters, not the East China Sea. While counting, Mahler was not at all wary of Yuan. He did not dare to say the specific amount. It was too big and he was afraid that he would not be able to stop Yuan. After all, that poor guy couldn't walk when he saw Bailey. He despises his own superior. The silent battle ended only when the navy rushed over with a phone bug. Yuan picked up the phone and said, "Hey, who's looking for me? I'll go to your uncle Yuan, are you sick? You caused trouble just after returning to the Grand Line. Do you know that the new king of Saint Onlia has complained about you secretly attacking the islands under the name of the participating countries and killing their mayors? Don't you want to live?" When warring states came up, he cursed loudly and showed no shame. Yuan shrugged and said it was so difficult. "Marshal, it's all for justice. Yuan said that he was loyal and dedicated to safeguarding the justice of the sea. Haha. The sneer represents the heart of the Warring States period. Mahler glanced at Yuan, stepped forward, took the phone bug, and said calmly, Marshal Warring States, after wiping out the crocodile pirates, our detachment should hand over a total of -million belly to the headquarters. In addition, we also discovered gold worth 20 billion belly on the island of Terra. According to the rules, 12 million of it must be handed over to the headquarters. We have to hand over a total of -billion belly. Mahler finished speaking calmly and hung up the phone with a snap, very domineering. In Marine headquarters, in Marine Fando's office, he looked at the hung-up phone bug and felt that Sengoku might be going crazy. Warring States pushed up his glasses, fed the complaint documents from the world government to the sheep, and said to He in a serious voice, Zaya He, there is no need to make a fuss about this kind of thing in the future. Isn't it just a complaint from the franchise countries? Besides, don't we have information about their collusion with Ferdalt? We can just fight back. The Warring States period was very domineering. That's 12 billion baileys, enough to buy Jack's head. Who is Jack, an existence that can single-handedly destroy a country? So, their navy did the right thing. He said that he had misjudged the Sengoku Warring States period, and that the majestic naval marshal actually surrendered for a mere bailey. Yuan was stunned when he saw that Mahler dared to hang up the phone in the Warring States period. Damn, he was so awesome. Mahler, how dare you, that is the Warring States marshal. Mahler glanced at Yuan with disdain and sneered, so what, one treasure tree atom is only -million, ours is equivalent to 12 treasure tree atom. We have done meritorious service for the navy, shed blood for the marshal, and paid a huge amount of protection fees. What's wrong with just hanging up on him? Yuan was convinced, this made sense, and the logic turned out to be smooth. Not long after, another call came. This time it was the Great Staff Crane. Eiffel Yavan, go to Alabasta immediately and cooperate with Navy Captain Smog and Commodore Tina to capture Crocodile. And help Alabasta quell the chaos. A serious voice gave the order that Yuan expected. Yuan looked at his subordinates and smiled. Get ready to set sail, little ones. The navy carried Bailey and the treasure with great strength. At this time, at the port, the newly captured slaves were working hard to help clean up the battlefield. Yuan directly called everyone to gather. Everyone, urgent military information. I am going to Alabasta. Please wait here. The nobles from Saint Onlia will come over soon to arrange your lives. Yuan expressed his embarrassment, left enough wealth and food, and left quickly. On the other side, the man with glasses from the Revolutionary Army, who was always paying attention to Yuan's movements, smiled. It turned out that this was how the handover was done. Chapter 10 Poisonous Judgment. Regardless of the reluctance of those waiting for employment, the warship decisively and quickly sailed out of the port. Yuan stood on the deck, looking at Terra Island, with a smile on his lips. The overall situation was drawn up. Which of you will benefit next depends on your own ability. Catherine held her injured arm and came out from behind. Why, Colonel Yavin still doesn't want to leave. Yuan glanced at Catherine, looked at Catherine's gauze-wrapped upper body, and mocked, I remember that my meritorious service is still hanging in the headquarters. It's no problem to change it to an animal fruit. Catherine was silent and turned to leave. Returning to the room, closing the door, and punching the table, Catherine's eyes were red and she was gasping for air. Damn it, I still can't keep up with him. Arwen looked at Catherine's retreating figure, and the corners of his mouth raised slightly, a small smile. Fupakai's eyes were rolling as she passed by on the deck. She seemed to have discovered a terrible secret. Gino patted Fupakai on the shoulder, ignored her glare, and motioned for her to leave with him and stop staring at Yuan here. If you don't want to be split open by Catherine, you'd better not like Arwen. The corners of Fupakai's mouth twitched, you seem to have a disease in your head. Mahler walked to Yuan and began to report on the logistics of the detachment. Just take care of these things yourself. Take some of my money and send it to the logistics department of the Navy headquarters. I will exchange it for a devil fruit in a while. So don't let those guys get in the way. Mahler looked at Yuan silently, then turned and left. Back in the office, Yuan took out his phone and called Spang Dine. The people from the Revolutionary Army have arrived at Terra Island, and Doflamingo's idiot subordinates have also left. You need to resolve Saint Onlia's complaint. Maragio's Spandane smiled happily. No problem, I'll take care of the idiots in Santa Maria, and you can do the rest as usual. Yuan's eyes were slightly lowered. I need an animal-type fruit. Can I get some more credit? Spang Dane frowned, needing credit because he wanted to exchange for a devil fruit. Marie Joanne, Spang Dane flipped through the notebook in his hand, looking for the page in his memory. Finally, I stopped at a certain page, looked at it carefully, sighed, closed it again, sat there and meditated, and finally said helplessly, "You do something for me, I will get you one, it will save you money. Go and redeem." Yuan raised his eyebrows. Through the vivid performance of the phone bug, he saw the changes in Spang Dane's expression that was thoughtful, entangled and helpless. "What's up?" Spang Dane said in a deep voice, "I know you are going to Alabasta now. I hope you will go to Judiciary Island after completing your mission there and debriefing at the Navy headquarters. Help my stupid son complete the Pluto mission and protect the final handover. As long as you complete the task handover calmly, no matter how much effort you put in, I will give you an animal devil fruit." Damn it, no wonder he was confused. This time it was Yuan's turn to struggle. What to do? He just asked Mahler to bribe those beasts in the logistics department of the Navy headquarters. After hesitating, Yuan gritted his teeth and admitted. "No problem." Spang Dine hung up the phone, leaned on the large chair, and said to himself. "With Rob Lookie and CP9 here, plus Yuan, the next Pluto mission will be easy to handle. I hope Gabra will complete his mission successfully, so that even if that silly boy is born in the future, he can be transferred from Judiciary Island to Marijoya, and retirement will not be a problem." Spang Dine said that he had such a stupid son for a person with such a high IQ, and it gave him a headache. Yuan also had a headache. After hanging up the phone, he rushed to Mahler's room. "Minister Yake, that's what's going on. I hope you'll take good care of me." "Mahler, you..." Yuan rushed into Mahler's room and saw Mahler hang up the phone. "With whom?" Yuan held on to the last bit of luck. "Mr. Yak, Naval Headquarters Logistics Department." Yuan felt dizzy. "Damn it, that vampire, you won't be able to take out even a cent of the money that went into his stomach." Yuan left confused. This scene made Mahler a little confused as to what was going on. At this moment, when Yuan led people to rush to Alabasta, Smog had just escaped from the rain. Here, he heard the news that Crocodile wanted to steal the country, and his whole person was filled with anger. Especially when he thought about the scene where he was completely crushed by Crocodile, who was also a natural type. At this moment, he thought of Zifa's teachings. The natural fruit is not invincible. After losing the fruit, Kizaru and Akainu are still great swordsmen, and Aokiji's 6 styles are equally powerful. The fruit is just the icing on the cake for them later. Seeing the Straw Hat Pirates leaving, Smoker chewed his cigar, feeling unhappy. "Dashiki. Colonel Smoker. Take someone to Rapeseed Flowers, wait for Yuan's arrival, tell that guy everything, and he will stop Crocodile. Then you." Dusky looked at Smoker in panic. "To judge your justice, I will do my own thing." Relighting his cigar, Smoker rushed in the direction of his goal. Dashki led the remaining navy towards the Rapeseed Flowers. When Yuan walked towards the warship, what he saw was the lost-hearted naval girl Dashki, whose eyes were full of confusion. "Colonel Arvin, Colonel Smoker," he asked me. When Dashki met Yuan, she seemed to have found her backbone and spoke in a hurry. However, before she could finish speaking, Yuan raised his hand to stop him. Catherine stepped forward to hold up Dusky's head, looked at the confusion in her eyes, and hugged Dusky into her arms. "Catherine." Yuan looked at Alabasta, which was full of sand, and sneered. He was probably late. "Exist. Gather troops on the spot, and I will take Dashki to Albina to stop the rebels." Dashki is shocked, she heard something and now goes to Albina. Before Dashki could react, she saw Yuan spread his wings, grabbed her hand, and took off instantly. Catherine and others watched the 2 men leave and began to rest on the spot. Mahler comes to Catherine. "I need to go buy supplies." Catherine nodded. "Spend Yuan's money." Mahler nodded, "No problem. That team's money. Give the soldiers points, let them go to the city to get high, and then come back and report how they got high." Mahler curled his lips. These couples were exactly the same. They both had the same way of observing whether a city was running well. That year, Mahler asked Yuan why he had to let his navy have fun when he went to a city and why he had to write a report when he came back. Who knew that Yuan's answer would directly shatter his outlook on life? This city has 3 taverns and 5 chicken houses. The previous city had 5 taverns and 15 chicken houses. Of course, the last city must be more prosperous. And the prosperity of this city proves that the country is rich and the king is capable. He can patrol more in the future to reduce work pressure. Mahler only felt poisonous. This is such a speechless judgment method. People all look at it from the perspective of economy, politics, reputation, and the happiness of personnel, and the result is that chicken house thing. Really toxic. Chapter 11 Resolved. Yan took Dashki to experience extreme speed in the air. In just an hour, Yan and Dashki rushed to the sky above Albina. However, the two arrived late. Yan frowned as he looked at the people fighting in the city below. What a chaotic battlefield! In the city, on the streets, Alabastus revolutionary fighters were fighting with the king's army. In the underground burial sacrificial hall, 2 individuals with powerful vitality are also fighting. Yan felt the resentment that enveloped the entire Albina, and sighed slightly. No wonder he was allowed to do it. Discipline, loving kindness. Yan drew out his short sword and slashed towards the sky. The huge slash exploded in the sky, attracting everyone's attention. When everyone looked at Yan, a feeling of powerlessness came to their hearts. When it comes to field control, no one in the entire world can compare to me. Yan smiled ghostly, and landed on the clock tower with Dashki. He looked at the huge bomb inside, grabbed it, and threw it into the sky. He chopped off the bomb with a slash, which made those who were preparing to deal with the bomb. Princess Weiwei was stunned. Yan appeared next to Princess Weiwei in an instant and asked Dashki to take care of Princess Weiwei and walked towards the underground burial ceremony hall. When he sees and hears his domineering power, there is no place he can't find. Princess Weiwei wanted to call him to stop, but Dashki stopped her. Please give the colonel some confidence, he can definitely do it. Dashki said that Yan, who can brutally torture smoker, must be very strong. Yan had no intention of hiding his actions. He unleashed his momentum and rushed down domineeringly, directly telling the people underground that I am here and wash my neck clean. What I saw was a duel with bugs added. Luffy's hands were stained with blood, and Crocodile seemed to have forgotten the skill of early elementalization, and actually used the golden hook to fight the opponent's physical skills. Seeing this scene, Yan was heartbroken. It's a battle full of bugs. Yan, who rushed to the underground burial ceremony hall, also asked the 2 fighting men to stop fighting. Luffy looked at Arvin with fear. He could not forget the scene where Arvin and Mihawk just collided slightly and the aftermath cut open the sea. Dear Eiffel, are you sent by the navy to help me? Crocodile saw Yan appear and recognized him at a glance. Arvin smiled brightly, which made Robin and Luffy suddenly think, no way, they met another monster before they even finished fighting a crocodile. King Cobra next to him saw Yan and got up excitedly. Navy, Crocodile attacked the franchising country. As the king of the franchising country, I ask you to arrest him immediately. Furthermore, I had a great discussion with Marshal Warring States at the World Conference. I have business dealings with Minister Yak of your navy, and I also have some friendship with Spangdine of CP. The last sentence added made Yan's brows jump. Yan saw that Gabra was covered in blood and looked like he was going to be finished at any moment. He narrowed his eyes. This old guy, worthy of being the king of a country, was almost finished, but he still had the ability to play tricks on him. It is useless to say that Crocodile stole the country at this time. After all, what the world government cares about is gold from the sky. The attack was used very well. After all, the way Cobra was covered in blood was very revealing. In addition, that series of relationships is more effective than the previous bunch of words. Well, mainly the latter part. In this human society, who you know is much more important than whether you are attacked. Crocodile rubbed his back, lit a cigar, and looked at the 4 of them mockingly. Eiffel, you have to help them and destroy the balance of this world. The sarcastic voice made Cobra's heart tremble. He was the king of Alabasta, a big country. He knew and saw far more than Robin and Luffy. Yan sneered, a disdainful expression on his face. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Waste is waste. How can you have the nerve to raise the balance of the world after being beaten into such a horrible state by a little pirate? Those of your subordinates have all been defeated. Now you are alone. What qualifications do you have to bring balance to the world? Be direct. Don't be cowardly, who is afraid of whom, cowardice is not his character. Yan's words made Cobra's face relax, as long as the navy is here. However, Cobra still glanced at Luffy and looked dim. Sure enough, the path to be chosen still had to be the world government and the navy, and pirates would not succeed. Ha 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 ha. Crocodile looked up to the sky and laughed, his laughter filled with all kinds of disdain. After laughing, he looked at Yan calmly and sneered, I'm afraid you don't know why the natural system is called a natural disaster. Yan took a step forward, his aura released, and a terrifying pressure filled the entire space. Crocodile also stepped forward, no longer showing the playful look he had when fighting Luffy. Cobra was overwhelmed by the opposing momentum between the two. Discipline, loving kindness. Field control skills are turned on first. Mr. Luffy, take me away. Cobra asked Luffy to take him away without hesitation. He couldn't stay in this bad place anymore. It was obvious that two monsters were fighting now. Luffy hesitated and decided to save people. Before leaving, he yelled, Brother Marine, that guy's weakness is water. Yan didn't pay attention to him, and Crocodile didn't panic at all. In the face of your so-called commandment, loving kindness, just keep your attitude. Crocodile said that this kind of bug-like ability is easy to deal with, and his mentality is arrogant, not hateful. The corners of Yan's lips raised, I'll knock you down for hating me. Invasion of reincarnation. Crocodile didn't make any move, the entire underground palace began to collapse, quicksand began to flow everywhere, Yan's face was expressionless. Instantaneous, punched Crocodile in the stomach. Crocodile's eyes were red, and there was faint traces of blood emerging from the corners of his mouth. The cycle of encroachment, maximum desertification. Crocodile roared angrily as he was punched to the ground. The entire underground palace completely turned into a desert, and the quicksand shrouded Yan. When the quicksand enveloped Yan, Crocodile saw Yan's helpless expression and thought he had won. Hellfire, burn everything. The terrifying purple flame flew out from Yan's body quickly, burning all the quicksand, and burned the entire quicksand area before Crocodile could react. Luffy and others who had just rushed to the ground watched the underground palaces behind them quickly disappear and turned into a quicksand area. They opened their eyes wide. What was going on? This is Crocodile's ability. Was he just playing house? This is a natural disaster-like ability. Cobra thought more. From now on, existences like Crocodile and his Shasha fruit will never be allowed to enter Alabasta as long as they are not in their hands. Before the three of them could react, a purple flame rose into the sky, a huge pillar of flame reaching straight into the sky. Yan walked out of the purple flame, holding the severely burned Crocodile in his hand. General Akainu once said that when faced with a natural element that cannot be found, just destroy the entire world and you will definitely kill him. Thanks to Brother Esterosa for knowing how to use the hell flame of the demon realm, Yan sighed in his heart. Nico, Robin, Luffy, and Cobra all looked at Arvin with horrified expressions. Crocodile, who had just launched his heaven-destroying skill, was caught like this. What a monster! Luffy looked at Yan warily, ready to fight at any time. Yan shrugged and looked at Cobra. His Majesty Shishibukai Crocodile attacked the royal family and was arrested by Navy Captains Eiffel Yan and Smoker. Before the Navy arrived, the Alabasta guards resisted desperately and bravely to protect is to be admired. Your Majesty the King, what do you think of this being tomorrow's news headline? Before Cobra could nod, Princess Waiwei rushed from afar, accompanied by a handsome young man. When she heard this, she objected. No, you are erasing Mr. Luffy's credit. Your navy obviously arrived late, and Crocodile stole the country. You must be responsible. Yan ignored the woman and drew out the short knife from his waist. The huge hellfire pillar behind him instantly transformed into an eagle flying in mid-air, and then looked at Cobra. Sure, no problem. Thank you, Lord Navy, for your help. Yan ignored everyone and asked Dashki to leave. Princess Waiwei glared at Yan, resentful. Cobra comforted his daughter and signaled her to stop talking. In the sky, a heavy rain came that made people unprepared. Cobra looked at the heavy rain in the sky with mixed feelings in his heart. Is it God's will or the Navy's handiwork? Chapter 12 Crazy Crocodile. Carrying Crocodile, Yan ignored the glaring Princess Waiwei and asked Dashki to go with him. After striding away, none of the soldiers from the King's army and Alabastus Revolutionary Army who gradually surrounded him dared to attack. They still remembered the powerlessness they felt just now. One person shocked the entire army, and no one dared to move. This is the strong. Seeing the Straw Hats coming one after another, Dashki wanted to speak, but looking at Yan's state, he still didn't dare to speak out. It wasn't until he walked out of Albina that Yan stopped to find a place to rest. Dashki felt a little hesitant as he listened to the grand cheers in the city. Have you found your justice? Ah, Dusky looked at Yan in confusion, and found that he was looking at her lazily, and blushed. I still can't understand what Colonel Smoker said. Yan burst into laughter. It was so interesting. He glanced at Crocodile, who was still unconscious, and looked at the sea stone handcuffs that were tied to him. He was sure that he would not wake up for a while, and they could wait for support here. Colonel Yavin, can you tell me what justice is? Dashki didn't quite understand. Also, what is guilt? I've seen some pirates burning, killing and looting, and some like the Straw Hats helping others. Yan took one look at her, she was really a stupid girl, made his own evaluation, and said casually, the simplest description is that my heart and actions are as clear as a mirror, and everything I do is righteous. As long as you follow your heart and do what you think is right. Dashki seemed to understand. Like back in Alba, it was your duty to arrest the seriously injured Straw Hats, but do you really want to arrest them? Dashki's face instantly turned red, and her inner sensitivity was touched. In no mood. She protected the people, protected Albina, and stopped Crocodile's Straw Hats, but she didn't want to arrest them. At the thought of this, Dashki stood up in a panic. Colonel Yavin, we forgot to arrest the others at Baroque Works. Dashki was very nervous. If this was pursued, it would be dereliction of duty. Yan yawned to show that he was tired and said nonchalantly, don't worry, Smoker will be here soon with Catherine, and the old Fox King will help us handle all the funeral affairs. Yan said that he saw the old fox very accurately. Those guys who seem incompetent to you are actually not good at all. Dashki looked at Yan in surprise. Isn't that old Uncle King very gentle? He also forgave them the responsibility for the late arrival of the navy. Yan saw what Dashki was thinking and laughed out loud, but he didn't explain. How could a king of a great country who had participated in world conferences for many years be a fool? I'm afraid you're kidding me. Alabasta, don't think he is timid in front of Crocodile, but in fact you have to know one thing, that is, during the years when the rebel army was here, they still handed over heavenly gold every year, and they were not because of the sky is heavy with gold and rebellion. In the meantime, the strength of the king and the national strength of Alabasta need to be considered. That old guy is not an old sheep, he is 100% an old fox. Late at night, Crocodile woke up and saw Dashki keeping vigil. He turned his head disdainfully and saw Yan leaning against the wall and thinking. Yan felt Crocodile's gaze, and immediately became excited, and sat down in front of Crocodile. Old shat! The words he spoke made Crocodile want to blow his head off. I heard you are a woman. It's a sex change through the hormonal fruit of the she-male king. Crocodile wanted to blow his head off even more. What the hell? Will you speak? Dashki next to him was shocked, what was going on? What nonsense are you talking about? Crocodile responded with silence, not wanting to talk to him. Lao Shat, just tell me. I don't think there's any shame in it. Some people know the secret anyway. And, are you Luffy's mother? If not, why did you release the water so badly when you hit that Straw Hat? I feel like you released the entire East China Sea. Yan opened his mouth and asked about all the boring conjectures he had encountered while reading pirate fan fiction in his previous life. Especially the one who released the water, Yan said that he really suspected that Crocodile and Luffy were related. Think about it, when he fought Luffy, he used his best taijutsu, not even basic skills like elementalization in advance. When fighting him, the first move to use is the erosion of reincarnation, a melee drying move, followed by a natural disaster, a terrifying move that corrodes the entire underground palace and strangles with large-scale sand. If these moves were used by Luffy, the natural disaster move would probably destroy the entire Albina. With the deceptive terrain like Alabasta, if you really want to fight, you have to make a big move, otherwise Crocodile wants to run away, and no one can stop him for a while. Therefore, Yan boldly guessed that it might be the same as what some fan novels wrote in his previous life. Crocodile was a woman before, and she was also the wife of a dragon and Luffy's mother. Otherwise, if she wasn't her biological mother, how could she be so serious? Crocodile looked at Yan who was close at hand and grinned. You really want to know? Yan nodded wildly, and Dashki next to him also nodded. The woman's love for gossip has been sucked in. If this is true, she will be so happy that she can brag about it for half her life. Crocodile motioned for Yuan to come closer. Yuan approached unpreparedly, and was met with a steel head hammer, which hit him directly to the ground. Then Crocodile struck crazily with his hand cuffed with seafloor stone. He mounted up and attacked crazily. You are the only one who has transitioned. Your whole family has transitioned. You are that guy's mother, and your whole family is his mother. I'm so pissed off. Does the Navy have this kind of quality now? You deserve to be banished to the East China Sea. Were you banished because of your bad mouth? Crocodile was beating and scolding. After all, it was Dusky who couldn't stand it anymore and came over to pull Crocodile away. Yuan rubbed his face and got up from the ground, looking at Crocodile resentfully. If you don't tell me, don't tell me. Why are you still beating people? Are your qualities being fed to the dogs? Phew, a piece of old spit was spitting next to Yuan. Crocodile sneered and said who was incompetent. Eiffel right. If you dare, kill me now, and don't wait until I come out of Impel Down City one day. I will definitely kill you when the time comes. Crocodile was already mad and started to speak cruelly. Can't afford it. Yuan despises him. This kind of person just can't afford to play and has no future at all. He despises him. Dashki next to her looked embarrassed, and she also felt that Yuan had gone too far. Chapter 13 Alabasta, the big money maker. Smoker came with Tina and Catherine. When he found Arvin outside Albina, Crocodile was almost driven crazy by Arvin. If looks could kill, Crocodile would have cut Yuan into pieces. What's going on? Tina is very strange. Tina looked at Crocodile's crazy attack on Yuan with his eyes and didn't quite understand. It's okay, it's just that this guy is not honest at all. I interrogated him and he didn't admit anything. Yuan sighed and said that he really did not have the talent for interrogation. Catherine, who was following, held her forehead with a headache, as if she had thought of some unbearable scene. Oh, Colonel Yuan is very powerful. Has the interrogation started yet? Tina is very happy. Tina glanced at Smoker and saw how attentive he was to his work. Smoker sneered. He definitely didn't believe that Yuan was serious about his work. Then what questions did you ask? What were the reasons for stealing the country? What were the reasons for stealing the country? Are there any other accomplices? Smoker raised his eyebrows and asked. Catherine took a step back quietly and covered her ears, fearing that she would be frightened to death if she screamed uncontrollably later. Yuan looked at Smoker with disdain. Smoker, your level only reaches this point. What's the use of your superficial problems? Blue veins popped out, and he resisted the urge to beat Yuan to death. Smoker wanted to hear what he had in mind. Yuan said proudly, I asked him if there are any side effects of the Demon King's hormone fruit degeneration. I also interrogated him as to whether he was Straw Hat Boy's mother. Otherwise, how could he love me seriously? Besides that, I also asked him if he felt good about not having menstruation after becoming a man. And after he becomes a boy, his physical needs arise, whether he wants a man or a woman. The most important thing is, I also interrogated him about what he would do with his ex-boyfriend after he became a boy, and whether the two of them had tried to explore each other. These are all inherent problems. My outlook is broken, my mind and body are exhausted. Thank you for your hard work, Crocodile. Smoker and Tina looked at Crocodile with pitiful eyes. You have worked hard these days. It must be very painful to deal with this kind of mental illness. Go away, I don't need to pity you Navy dogs. If you dare, kill me. When I come out of the Impel City, I will definitely kill all you Navy dogs. Crocodile roared, trying to provoke everyone to a happy death. Dashki added next to him, he was so angry that he couldn't restrain his hatred. He lost all power in front of the commandment, love. Damn it, is it so scary? Tina and Smoke took the initiative to take a step away. Is Yuan trying to exercise his bug ability and forcefully activate the annoying mode? Crocodile was taken away, and Yuan took Smoker, Tina, Catherine and other Marines to Albina. Cobra came out in advance to welcome him and brought the employees of Baroque Studio. The criminals have all been packed, please take them away. Yuan looked around and saw that Baroque Studio had code names, and those who had been defeated were all here. Then those hundreds of millions of elders and tens of millions of elders are gone. Show a playful smile. He is worthy of being a king of a great country. If he has the ability, with this one mouthful, he will have all the gold in the sky this year and money for the development of new cities. Yuan said angrily. Cobra said nothing, and took out 8 large boxes from behind, one for each of Smoker, Yan, and Tina, and the remaining 5 were divided among others. Looking at the box that was handed over, Yan's eyes turned red and tears fell drop by drop, making Cobra's eyes twitch. Is there something difficult about Colonel Yan? Although he was bored, Cobra still felt like asking. Yan cried louder when he heard this voice. I think my mentor Zifa is old and has asthma. His health is getting worse day by day. He has to work hard every day. As a disciple, I feel uncomfortable. And my uncle, Marshal of the Warring States period, worked day and night and lived on hair dye. Lieutenant General Garp fought against evil every day and could only rely on junk food such as donuts to fill his belly. Sister he was obviously in her prime, but her face was full of smiles. The wrinkles are all from tiredness. Among the 3 senior general brothers, Brother Akainu is so busy that he doesn't even have any friends. Brother Kizaru is so busy that he has given up cigars and only drinks tea to stay awake. Brother Aoji is even more busy and can't sleep well. And there are many lieutenant generals and senior brothers, they are getting older, their health is getting worse and worse, and they have to fight evil every day, which makes me feel bad. Now that Crocodile has acted like this, he will be scolded by the world government. Oh, it's all my incompetence. Cobra couldn't help but shed tears of sadness as he listened. Don't worry, Colonel Yavin. I will send some Alabasta specialties to you big shots later. You accept these small gifts first. Later, I will send some of our specialties to the warships in your port. Cobra said with runny nose and tears. That's so embarrassing. How could I take your things? If other people knew about it, wouldn't our reputation be ruined? No problem, just take it. When you come back, I'll ask Morgans to write a special article about our military-civilian harmony. Cobra expressed his sentiments, saying that you are sorry if you don't take it. Yan finally sighed helplessly, picked up the box and left embarrassedly. Back on the warship, 8 boxes were opened and -1,000,000 Baileys were obtained. I, Smog, and Tina each have -1,000,000, and the remaining -1,000,000 will be divided among everyone. Yan called the shots and gave orders. Catherine was very happy to take it and give points to them according to their level and combat effectiveness. Dashki looked confused when he saw the 1,000,000,000 Baileys assigned to him. He obviously didn't do anything. Looking at the way Smoker divided half of it from himself and gave it to his own detachment, it is really difficult to understand. Are we blackmailing? Dashki couldn't help but said. Smoker was leaning on the deck smoking, Tina was quietly counting money and how many cosmetics she could buy, and Yan looked like he didn't want to explain. Catherine next to her had no choice but to explain, it's not blackmail. And this is still a small head. Some will be sent later, and they will also send some to the headquarters. Judging from the things he swallowed, there is no way to solve this matter without 50 billion belly. Catherine sneered. Dashki looked confused. Is there anything she didn't know about this? In addition to the people we arrested in the Baroque working group, there are also a bunch of billions of elders and tens of millions of elders, but now none of them are missing. In addition to that, the bounty hunters in Whiskey Mountain, the channels and money of the Baroque cooperative in the underground world have all disappeared. To capture the Straw Hats, those billionaires are sending out 10 ships every minute. Do you think they don't have any other ships? Think again about the Akaram who appeared at the end. He said that he was saved by Nico Robin. Does that mean that he had been in contact with Nico Robin for a long time? When he disappeared, it was integration. Go to Whiskey Mountain and the billions of elders. It can be said that the Baroque working group, except Crocodile and his loyal subordinates who were arrested by us, has been taken over. If this power is swallowed up, Alabasta will not only not suffer losses, but also make huge profits. The more Catherine spoke, the colder her voice became. With just a calculation and some intelligence, they would know how much money Alabasta made in this wave. Moreover, Princess Weiwei also grew up during this crisis. Moreover, Yan glanced at Tina and chuckled. It is estimated that the Navy in the original work already knew this. Chapter 14. Arvin and Smoker parted ways after receiving the second batch of souvenirs from Cobra. Smoker escorted Crocodile to Impel Down, and Tina was to stay here to conduct the final roundup of the Straw Hats. Yan received the order from the headquarters and immediately set off to report to the Navy headquarters. Before leaving, Yan held Smog's hand. Senior brother, it's up to you to knock those inner problems out of Crocodile's mouth. Junior brother is incompetent and can only leave it to you. Smoker's face was full of black lines, get out. The circumstances of Yuan's departure from Alabasta naturally aroused the wrath of his boss Spang Dine. In the office, Yuan was 3 meters away from the phone bug. The phone bug perfectly imitated Spang Dine's anger, while Yuan hummed a tune while shaving in front of the mirror 3 meters away. Stop fooling people. If you attack directly, there's no way you can catch half Straw Hat Luffy. Did you know that Straw Hat Luffy is our most powerful weapon to attack the Navy at the next world meeting? Spandane was so angry that he told the truth directly. Yuan raised his eyebrows. I know, I can't catch him anymore. CP is responsible for the Tianlong people. You have to die any day when the Tianlong people ask you to die. How could I do that kind of thing? If you meet a stupid dragon, if you don't obey, you will be expelled from your CP. At that time, you will become a pirate and you will have to face the pursuit of the 3 generals. Do not be silly. Think carefully about the death rate of the top brass in the original book, and then look at the death rate of pirates. Comparing the two, of course it is a navy. From Rocks to Roger to Whitebeard to the Yonko to the generation of evil, that is 40 years. Then, in the past 40 years of One Piece, Rocks died, Roger died, Whitebeard died, the new Yonko Blackbeard will die soon, and Kaido and Big Mom will also die. As for the Marines, Sora, Sengoku, and Garp in the Rocks era were twice as good. In this comparison, of course I would choose the Navy. Therefore, Luffy cannot be captured. If he is captured, he will offend Garp. If he offends Garp, he will offend Sengoku, Tsuru, and Zifa. Offending them is almost like offending the entire Navy. Moreover, if you catch Luffy, you will offend the dragon and the red hair. When the time comes, the world will be so big that there will be no place except CP. This deal isn't worth it. After all, CP is a stupid department after all. There is nothing we can do. You know Cobra, and you also know the situation in Alabasta. If he wants to protect him, who can do anything? After Yuan finished shaving, he sat on a chair and said slowly. Spangdane was choked. And it's obvious that the Sengoku guy doesn't really want to arrest him. He just transferred me back to the headquarters and sent Smog to the city to escort him, leaving only Tina alone. This is not a tactical arrangement to arrest. It's absolutely fine to push things to the one with the bigger head. Spandane restrained his anger, he felt that what Yuan said made sense. Damn Sengoku, he is protecting Garp again. He is a disgrace to the world government officials. Spangdine couldn't help roaring. No, your son is a disgrace to the world government officials. Neither force nor intelligence is up to par. Yuan complained secretly. As for the Navy, most of them are up to par in terms of force and intelligence, except for a few special losers. Go to the headquarters to report on your work, and let me deal with the warring states period. If you have time, go to Judiciary Island. I'm going to the 5 Old Stars to solve the problem of Saint Onlia. Spangdine looked at the messenger who appeared outside his office and hurriedly hung up the phone. Yuan shrugged and gave Long a shot. What he meant was, boss, your son's life has been saved. Long is very satisfied, very good, well done, I like it very much. My son's life has been saved, and I don't have to kill you to avenge him. If Yuan knew what Long was thinking, he would most likely say that you are really not a qualified revolutionary warrior, and you don't even have the ideological consciousness to sacrifice your small family for everyone. Despise you. Then he reported to Doflamingo, saying that he had received enough credit and was about to enter the headquarters. The recommendation he mentioned was due. Doflamingo said with great satisfaction that if he worked harder, his family's business in the Grand Line would be protected in the future. Doflamingo, who was sitting on the throne, couldn't help laughing. The mere naval headquarters has been infiltrated into a sieve. The underground world will soon be completely controlled by me. By then, I will be the secret king of the Grand Line. It feels good to think that Yuan has officially entered the Navy headquarters, with the support of his intelligence, on the surface to fight against various evils, but in fact to eradicate his competitors. However, thinking of this, Doflamingo secretly hated Sengoku and he's cunning. If those 2 old bastards hadn't sent Virgo to the New World, he wouldn't have had to place another person into the Navy headquarters and become the escort of the great shipping business. Yuan leaned against the window, watching a huge sea beast emerge from the majestic sea outside from time to time, and then quickly disappear under the attack of Catherine and Gino. When sailing on the Great Line, the presence of a ship guard is a must. After all, you never know when huge sea beasts will appear and terrible weather will occur. Doflamingo's line is easy to break, we just need to wait for time. The dragon line is okay, as long as you completely side with the headquarters. The key difficulty is Spangdine. If this old fox doesn't fall, how can I disconnect it? Yan felt a little sad inside, none of these things were easy to do. The most important thing he should do now is to cut off the line and make false claims. One day he will be discovered, and he cannot fully satisfy the interests of the three parties, oh no, the four parties, and the navy every time. Really, doesn't this force me to become a naval version of Minglu? Yan couldn't help but complain. He was really helpless. The warship soon returned to Marine Vondo. When he got off the ship, Yan saw Zifa waiting here. Seeing Yan's appearance, he raised his hand and hit him with a crusher. It is a good sign that the teacher is kind and the disciple is filial. Yan drew out his short sword and slashed at it. Full counterattack. Zifa snorted secretly. The power has not weakened, and it has not been decadent for 5 years. It is stronger than that bastard smoker. Zifa laughed. Yan shrugged and said proudly, my teacher is Black Wrist Zifa. Zifa smiled even more happily. At this time, Catherine came over with a strange look on her face, holding a gift box. Yan quickly took it and handed it to Zifa flatteringly. Teacher, this gift for you is a local product from Alabasta. Zifa's eyes widened with a smile at this moment, and he took it while saying he was embarrassed. Good boy, save some money to arm yourself with more troops and buy some gifts for me, an old man. Yan said I knew you old guy would be very happy. Nothing, just some kidney tonifying and virile strengthening medicines that are special to Alabasta, and some secret recipes unique to the Alabasta royal family. Master wife left early. No one restricted you, and you didn't know how to control yourself when you went out to have fun and have fun. After all, at your age, you definitely need to supplement your health. Zifa's smile froze and his whole body trembled. You just lived like crazy. You just went out and fucked. The crusher hit Yan's face directly, and Zifa hit it again and again with an expressionless face. Sooner or later, my wisdom will be ruined by your bad mouth. Chapter 15, The Terra Island Incident in which only the Revolutionary Army was injured. Although Zifa was angry, he let Yan go after a few hammer blows. With a dark face, he led Yan towards the Navy headquarters building. In the huge headquarters, except for the Navy patrolling, working, and preparing to go to sea, there are not many people in front. Yan smiled and said hello to everyone he met along the way. Colonel Eric, long time no see. This is a small gift I bought for you in Alabasta. Senior brother Ghost Spider, long time no see. This is a gift for you, a sword box that can hold 10 swords. Senior brother Doberman, long time no see. I happened to meet a brooch seller when I was on a mission in Alabasta and bought you one. Senior brother Dalmatia, long time no see, here are your gloves. Senior brother Flying Squirrel, I haven't seen you for a long time. When I was on a mission in Alabasta, I met a Thai seller and bought you one. Along the way, Yan greeted every sailor he met. When he met a familiar sailor on duty, he would give him a piece of chocolate or, as a joke, a pack of cigarettes. When you meet a familiar general, you will give him a small gift, which is not too expensive but can represent your true feelings. Yan's approach made Zifa very satisfied. The little guy is still very good. Entering the headquarters building, I met Akainu who was about to go out. Hey, senior brother Sakaski, long time no see. Akainu smiled ugly when he saw Arwen. Yan opened his hand, darkness emerged, and a box of cigars emerged from it. Try the cigars specially provided by the royal family of Alabasta. Akainu put away his cigar and patted Yan on the shoulder, you did a good job in Alabasta. I'm very pleased. Nodding to Zifa, Akainu turned and left. Zifa gave Yan full marks for his communication skills. All the way to Zhang Guo's office, he knocked on the door and entered. Yan immediately took out the hair dye and gave it to Zhang Guo. Uncle Warring State's master, long time no see. This is a hair dye for you. Yan had an expression that said, I know the truth that your hair has turned grey. Warring States clicked his tongue, put down the document in his hand, gave me Zifa a look, and told him to go out. He wanted to talk to Yan alone. Before Zifa left, he gave Yan an encouraging, don't let me down look. After Zifa left, Warring States put the hair dye on the table into the drawer, pointed to the sofa, and motioned to sit down. I have received all the specialties from Alabasta and Terra Island. Tell me, who gave you the information on Terra Island? The Warring States period goes straight to the point without delaying at all. Yan stopped laughing and joking, put away the laziness in his eyes, and sat down on the sofa seriously. Doflamingo. Say it directly regardless. Warring States nodded, he understood. He knew about the man going to the navy to collect sand. Now that you've spoken out, tell me everything about you. You have never done anything sorry to the navy in these years, but if you want to truly advance to the core level of the navy, you need an attitude. What is your relationship with Doflamingo? And what is your relationship with the world government and the Revolutionary Army? Warring States pushed up his glasses and said seriously. Yan scratched his head, how to explain this? Between the two of us, he is nominally my boss. In fact, he is my undercover target, assigned by the Revolutionary Long, but I am also an undercover agent sent by Spangdine to the Revolutionary Army. Warring States looks calm on the outside, but his face turns green on the inside. How can he deal with spies on all sides? So you were originally an undercover agent for Spangdine. Yan thought about his previous experience, nodded, and said helplessly, yes. I was originally a backup for CP0. After I learned the 6 styles, it happened to coincide with the rise of the Revolutionary Army. Spangdine sent me to the Revolutionary Army to inquire about affairs. Then I had a good talk with Long, and I easily formulated a plan for him that the Revolutionary Army had never seen before. There are not enough people to rise up, so we should sink the main body into the forces of all parties, and just wait for the opportunity to meet the wind and transform into a dragon. Because we had a good conversation, I easily joined the Revolutionary Army, and Spangdine also agreed that I should join the Revolutionary Army. The dragon listened to me and sent me to Doflamingo, the underworld, where he hoped I could raise a team for the Revolutionary Army. Warring States recalled the scene when the Revolutionary Army had just risen, suffered attacks from all sides, and then quickly disappeared. The main body of the Revolutionary Army disappeared that year, and Spangdine publicized it at the World Conference, saying that it was all their fault. Tisk, Spangdine was tricked. Thinking about the day when the Revolutionary Army suddenly breaks out in the future, no matter how awesome Spangdine brags in the front, it will be miserable later. Warring States thought for a while. According to what Yan said now, the Revolutionary Army must have put all its talents into various forces, just waiting for the situation to be turbulent and rise up. With the dragon on the surface to attract attention, who would notice? The Revolutionary Army developed secretly. Spangdine was certain of death and could not be saved. This is the idea of the Warring States period. You don't like the Revolutionary Army? Warring States suddenly focused his eyes and said firmly. Yan was confused, how did you know? Warring States took out a document and threw it to Yan. In CP9, Gabriyetra Island single-handedly destroyed the branch of the Revolutionary Army in the Kingdom of Saint Ania, killed one of the branch leaders, and rescued a large number of people who were bewitched by the Revolutionary Army. They were then sent back to their respective homes by CP. They were really sent back to their respective homes. Yan saw special markings at the bottom. Although we don't pay attention to Terra Island, Spangdine directly suppressed the newly appointed King of Saint Onlia in the world government's video conference, saying that his son had accomplished the task of solving the Revolutionary Army of Saint Ania, and he also praised him lavishly. He also said that this was a joint operation between our Navy and CP. You did a very good job and made a major contribution to the fight against the Revolutionary Army, and you were praised by the 5 old stars. Warring States said that of course he took the credit, and he also sent those who were waiting for employment back to their hometowns, which severely slapped the Navy in the face. As for CP, screw him, he doesn't care. Yan was stunned. Warring States explained to him. Ferdod of Terra Island is a minion of the new King of Saint Onlia, that is, a private army. The slaves transported back and forth are also used to win over the domestic nobles. After Ferdod was killed by Yan, the new King of Saint Onlia was very dissatisfied. He directly used the navy to fight without saying hello and did not take the face of the participating countries at heart as an excuse to sneer at Yan. After the Gabra incident broke out, the new King of Saint Onlia became even more furious. 1 or 2 of them came directly to my house to work without telling me. How excessive this was. In short, it doesn't matter whether Ferdod dies or not, but if you don't greet me as the new king, I will lose my face and I will be unhappy. After this incident was over, the world government reviewed and found that this was an incident in which only the Revolutionary Army was unlucky. Yan remained silent. How should I fool the dragon leader? Warring States pushes up his glasses. That's the end of the matter in Santa Maria. You can end it now. Now let's talk about your views on the Navy. And what are your plans? Revolutionary Army, Pirates, Navy, CP, pick one. Warring States looked at him quietly. Outside the door, Zifa took off his grinder and lit a cigarette that he had not smoked for a long time. Under the headquarters building, Akainu was stroking the cigar in his hand, his expression a bit complicated. Chapter 16. Without asking for detailed inventory, I just gave you the practical information, which one do you choose? Faced with Senguo's direct inquiry, Yan took a closer look at Senguo, who was holding his chin with his hands crossed, his eyes reflecting, and his face serious, making it difficult to see through his inner thoughts. Yan didn't panic at all and grinned. Of course I choose the Navy. CP is stupid? There are too many, pirates are everywhere, enemies are everywhere, the death rate is too high, the Revolutionary Army has poor treatment, and the work is dangerous. Only we have a large navy with good wages and benefits, high-quality colleagues, clear enemies, huge power, and clear functions. No matter who becomes the boss of the world, we will not be replaced and we will sit firmly on the Diao Yute. In this case, wouldn't it be stupid for me to choose them? Yan grinned, causing Warring States' serious expression to break. Zifa outside the door sneered, making Yan in the room stiffen. Warring States pushed up his glasses and said calmly. Well, you passed the test. From tomorrow on, you will be the Rear Admiral of the Navy headquarters. Your main function is to lead the patrol of the Grand Route. Your immediate boss is the Navy Admiral Aokiji. The sudden question and the sudden end, without any other political review issues, just ended like this. This is really a bit difficult for people to understand, including Yan. The situation took a turn for the worse. Yan, who had prepared all his words, was a little flustered by the sudden recognition. Sengoku, who was so serious that he might explode at any time and send him a shock wave, ended the problem just like this. Yan didn't understand. Warring States leaned back and looked at the helpless Yan with a disdainful smile. As you said, our navy is huge and has clear powers. No matter who is the master of the sea in the future, as long as the pirates are not eliminated for a day, we will not beaten to the point of disappearance. Of course I believe you. It was Yan's turn to be speechless. Don't you ask me what justice is. Aren't you going to ask me about my origin? Don't you think I might betray you at any time? Aren't you afraid that my heart for justice is not firm? This time it was Yan's turn to ask. Warring States looked at him with contempt. Have you ever done anything against justice? How many people in this huge navy, including Sakazuki, are exercising their abilities for the sake of justice? This question made Yan stunned, not knowing what to say. Warring States stood up, walked to the window, looked at the vast and majestic naval headquarters, and said softly, the reasons for joining the navy are all kinds of strange, and everyone's justice is different, but in the final analysis, everyone is upholding justice in their own way. It's just the justice in your own heart. Sakazuki hates pirates because he saw pirates behaving badly when he was a child and suffered the sins and pain left by pirates. His justice is to put an end to pirates. Kizaru has never experienced that. He just feels that the navy is safe and powerful, so he chooses to join. He just wants to carry out justice to be worthy of the training he received from the navy and the money given by the people. Me, Garp, Zifa, Crane, Kinjao, everyone is like this. There are also a large number of Marines who chose to join the navy because their elders were Marines. Then they saw evil and slowly grew up to have their own justice. So all I need from you is a reason to join the navy, nothing else. Even if it's for the high salary in the navy. Because I firmly believe that as long as you are not an ambitious person or a truly evil person, you will eventually integrate into the navy and become a qualified navy due to its own advantages. Damn it, is it that simple? Yan said he was shocked. Sengoku turned his head and shrugged, indicating that it was that simple. What if the son of the Pirate King and the leader of the Revolutionary Army also wants to join the navy? Yan blurted out. Warring States thought for a moment and replied, let me put it this way, there are still people in our navy who have transferred from pirates, as long as someone guarantees them. I am Nima. Yan wanted to curse. What the hell is this? Otherwise, why do you think the navy is getting stronger and why it agreed to the Shishibukai plan? Because there are precedents. Yan walked out of Zhang Guo's office with all his views shattered. What he didn't say was that he was taught a hard lesson by Zhang Guo today. Hurry and report to Qing Pheasant, otherwise he won't wander around the headquarters in a few days. After leaving the headquarters building, Arvin bumped into Akainu again. Brother Sakaski, aren't you leaving? Yan was confused. Akainu looked at him, lit a cigar given by Arvin, and looked at Arvin carefully through the smoke of the cigar. Marshal and you are talking in the office. Teacher Zifa is guarding the door. I am downstairs and King Z is on the other side. If you are not satisfied with your answer, the shock wave will be used, and Aokiji will instantly freeze the entire building. I will kill you today. The calm voice spoke cold words, and Yan shuddered all over. He felt that he was not getting old at this moment. Akainu grinned and patted Arvin on the shoulder. However, you did not disappoint us. Go find Qing Pheasant. He is more suitable to be your superior. And he has been mysterious recently. You can just help him. I'm going to the New World to take charge. After Akainu finished speaking, he walked with a vigorous and resolute attitude in front of him. Yan has a toothache. Are you using the highest combat power of the Navy headquarters to guard against me? Only after he became a Navy did he realize that the 3 generals of the Navy would not be dispatched easily. One of them was stationed in the New World, Marine Fando and Marie Joa in each place. Hero Garp is usually stationed in the New World to guard against the impact of the 4 emperors and to control the number of pirates entering the New World. Peach Rabbit and Tea Dolphin lead teams all year round to perform tasks throughout the world. Most of the lieutenants of the Navy are stationed in various branches to suppress the peace of a sea area, while a few lead teams to sweep the sea and perform tasks. It can be said that the backbones in the Navy who perform the most tasks are the existences at the level of Rear Admiral and Colonel. The combat power of people at this level is also relatively unbalanced, with some being as strong as generals. The current permanent combat force of the Navy headquarters Marine Fando is basically the Marshal, a General, Zifa, the former General, the current Chief Instructor, and the Chief Staff Officer. As a result, now that we are guarding against him together, Yan wants to say something. He really thinks highly of himself. After Yan left, he walked into the Warring States office carrying a set of documents. How? Not bad. He's a good boy. He doesn't have any extra thoughts. Like most ordinary Navy, he just wants to have a good time. Sengoku replied casually. They didn't talk to me about truth or justice. They just talked about the advantages of the Navy. This is very good and very real. A gleam flashed in Sengoku's eyes. Whenever Yan said something about his idea of justice, a shock wave would hit him during the Warring States period, and a group of people would beat him up and kill him. Don't ask for a reason. If you ask for a reason, you are a well-known spy talking about the concept of justice. Isn't this nonsense? Chapter 17. Yan followed Akainu's guidance to find Aokiji. Looking at King Z's afro, Yan couldn't help but sigh, Brother Kuzan, you are really out of tune. Aokiji, who had just finished his lunch break and was preparing to deal with the accumulated naval affairs, looked confused. Is it because I didn't wake up or there was something wrong with what you said? Senior Brother Kuzan, look at Senior Brother Sakaski and Senior Brother Porisalino, they all have short haircuts, but you are the only one with an afro and an eye patch. Isn't this unsociable? Moreover, when there is a war, everyone will be cross-legged, so you can just treat them as you please. Yan added in his heart. Ah la la la. My hair is luxuriant and I'm still young. Naturally, I don't need to hide the fact that my hair is no longer luxuriant as I am older like them. King Z opened his sleepy eyes and said casually. You deserve to have your legs broken later. Yan complained alone. He felt that at this moment, Qing Zi's leg was broken for no reason. I suspect you are thinking of some immoral things. Believe it or not, I will send you to the New World to assassinate Whitebeard. The lazy threatening voice made Yan shiver. I believe. Yan must believe it. Why don't you believe it? These guys are all good players when it comes to playing with power. Didn't you see that in the original work, Aoki gave the demon-slaying order to Spondam, directly taking the responsibility for the destruction of Judiciary Island? I'm going to be stationed in Marigio soon. You go to complete an exploration mission, and then you will rotate to Judiciary Island to replace the Navy stationed there. Yan frowned, going to Judiciary Island for rotation, how could it be so in line with his wishes? Could it be said that Aoki Pheasant has already started to prepare for Robin at this time? Resisting the doubts in his heart, Yan took the mission document. The kingdom of Ghana was hit by falling objects from the sky. This task is surprisingly simple. Isn't this just an object that fell from an empty island? Wouldn't it be better to just send back an explanation? Yan was confused. This still needed to be explored. The existence of empty islands was not a secret in the navy. Qing Pheasant sighed softly and said with gloomy eyes. We also know that it was struck by a falling object from an empty island, but the problem is that someone found records of Umber Rolando in it. After Yan was silent, he said with an ugly face. Does anyone doubt that the legendary Golden Land really exists and exists in the sky? Aokiji nodded. You should know that in this ocean, ambitious people are like carps crossing the river. So the mission of this department is to investigate and solve the rumors about the Golden Land, and find out whether the big talker is true and the adventurer Umber Rolando is a big liar. It's a disgusting task, but you still have to cover it up even though you know it's true. However, Yan took over. No problem. I have already thought about the mission report and the mission details that need to be announced. King Z nodded with satisfaction, just understood. Sometimes, some tasks are to cover up the truth. Once the Golden Township is established, those villains who seek wealth and murder may conquer the Sky Island, and they may do something for the Golden Township. What our navy has to do is to nip problems in the bud. Yan patted his chest to show that he did understand. Qing Pheasant was very satisfied. This subordinate was very useful and much stronger than Smoker's Dash. However, he still added one sentence. Of course, it would be nice if you could bring back all the treasures from the legendary Golden Land and clear the name of Umber Rolando. Yan grinned. There was absolutely nothing wrong with leaving the money-making matters to him. He liked this kind of task the most. Making a fortune with your subordinates is definitely the best way to unite your subordinates. Yan turned around and was about to leave. King Z scratched his head and said lazily, do you want your detachment to have its own name? Come up with a name of your own? Yan was silent for a moment. 10 Commandments. Weird name. Qing Ji was puzzled. It makes a lot of sense. Yan smiled evilly. May the name of the demon god clan's strongest force shine again in this world. Esterosa, this is the only thing I can do for you. Saying something to himself, Yan strode out. At the harbor, the detachment that had taken a break stood here with a new look. Sail to the Kingdom of Ghana. Standing on the bow of the ship, Yan was in high spirits. This time he returned to the headquarters and finally got rid of the trouble of being discovered as a spy in the future. Now he has officially become a Navy spy lurking among pirates, revolutionary troops, and CPS. What a joy! Bulo bulo bulo, the phone rang. Yan looked around guiltily, and hurried back to his office. After answering the phone, Yan said in a calm and excited voice as much as possible, Joker, I have successfully gained the trust of the Navy headquarters and became a Rear Admiral of the Navy headquarters. Next, I will go to the Kingdom of Ghana to investigate the appearance of gold. A message from the village. If you have any competitors you want to fight, I'll help you kill them. Doflamingo on the other end of the phone showed a happy smile. Then you can help me kill Fairman Island between the Kingdom of Ghana and the Kingdom of Leighton. Doflamingo was not polite and made the request directly. Yan was confused. What happened to that island? There is a Duke of Fairman on that island. He monopolizes the arms business of 16 countries in the first half of the Grand Route, centered on the Kingdom of Ghana and Leighton. At the same time, Fairman Island itself is a hub, and many merchants are there. Come on, that Duke Fellman took advantage of this and sold all kinds of arms and weapons to merchants, which seriously affected our business in the first half of the Grand Route. Doflamingo's face became ferocious as he spoke. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't move easily and was easily targeted by the Navy, he would have killed the opponent himself. When he thought of this, Doflamingo couldn't help but cursed secretly, damn Sengoku and Hezuru, a pair of bitches. If you hadn't targeted me every day, I would have dominated the underground world long ago. Why bother being blocked by those local trash? Yan immediately patted his chest and said, no problem, leave it to me. I'm familiar with this. Joker, leave it to me. I'm the best at making up crimes. Doflamingo didn't pay attention. He calmed down and pretended to be happy, I'll leave it to you. Later, you can find a place where no one is around. I'll send you the evidence about Duke Fairman through the phone bug send you. After saying that, he hung up the phone and fully demonstrated the temperament of the boss. Yan thought for a moment and took out the dragon's phone bug. Boss, I'm sorry for you. I really didn't know that the Tianlong people's lackey CP had sneaked into Terra Island, causing us to lose several revolutionary warriors. But don't worry, next time I see CP, I will definitely avenge our comrades. As soon as Long answered the call, a sound of apology came, making Long look confused. But he still heard what Yan meant. He frowned and said, sacrifice for the revolution is everyone's wish. You don't have to blame yourself too much. Is there anything wrong with your phone call? Damn it, ruthless, what does it mean to sacrifice for the revolution? Everyone wants it, but I don't want it. Chapter 18. Long's confident and steady voice made Yan uncomfortable. The bespectacled man who sacrificed his life was someone who knew he was not proficient in business as soon as he saw him. He was 100% the kind of person who joined the revolutionary army with passion and rose to power by relying on a revolutionary belief that was more passionate than others. This kind of person is extremely stupid. He must be willing to show up for the revolution, but in your mouth, it can't be so easy. I would rather you ask me why something went wrong and get angry at me than I would rather you say it so plainly. Yan looked like he was in a trance and suddenly said this. After being in a daze, thinking that the dragon had not been replied yet, he quickly showed a flattering smile. That's it, Doflamingo asked me to kill Duke Fairman, because that Duke's arms business has affected Doflamingo. I will definitely get a batch of arms after killing them. So I'm thinking of leaving this great cause to us. Chief, would you like to send someone to take over it? After speaking, Yan quietly waited for Long's answer. The 1-minute wait seemed extremely long at this time. Finally, when Yan was getting impatient, Long's steady voice came from the other side of the phone. Okay, I'll call Betty and Raven over. Hang up the phone after speaking. Baldigo, the dragon stood on the rooftop, looking at the place where the wind blew, with an indifferent expression that made it impossible to tell whether he was happy, angry, sad, or happy. Footsteps sounded, and a young man wearing a top hat appeared. Chief, how about I go there? I was assassinated by the CP last time. This time. The anger on the young man's face was not concealed at all. Long didn't look back, and his voice didn't waver at all. No, I'll go there myself. Just let the crow handle it. If CP kills our people, he will naturally have to pay with his life. If someone betrays you, you will naturally have to pay with your life. The dragon's voice remained unchanged, but the young man heard an unmistakable sound. The wind in the sky exploded even more, as if a murderer was about to come out. Yan turned around and called Spangdine, repeating what he said before in a carefree manner. Boss, Doflamingo asked me to kill Duke Fairman. I will give the weapons to the revolutionary army later. Do you have any ideas? The dragon said it was Betty and Crow. Spangdine was obviously in a good mood after hearing this. I will send people over, and you can do whatever you want, just the revolutionary army, and then chop off one of their hands. Spangdine was a little drifting. He felt that life was bright. He would do one more job for the revolutionary army, accumulate some merit, help his son Pluto complete his mission, and let him take over his position, so that he could retire. So fucking cool. Calculating the cards in his hand, Gabra and the other little losers with CP9 definitely couldn't do it. The navy couldn't move because there was too much movement. Finally, gritting his teeth, Spangdine sent out CP0. After typing this, Yan took out Kuzan's phone bug and described what he said before again. Kuzan laughed a few times to show that he understood. Kuzan hung up the phone and called Akainu, who was in the New World. Akainu hung up the phone gloomily. Doflamingo, his expansion is boundless. The sailor from the detachment next to him saw smoke rising from his angry boss, swallowed his saliva, and did not dare to speak. Send an order to all bases in the New World to block access to the New World and kill all incoming and outgoing networks. Marijoa, Aokiji walked out of his room and said to the Major General guarding the door, block the port where Marijoa comes in and out. No entry or exit is allowed without my order. Yan finished all the phone calls and lay down on the bed relaxedly. Is this the trouble with a good multifaceted spy? There are 4 reports every day. Yan felt that his whole body was full of excellence. The warship swayed to Fairman Island. After setting foot on Fairman Island, Yan felt that this was completely false prosperity. Duke Fairman, who manages this place, is definitely as talented as Lei Luo. Walking in the town of Fairman Island, Yan couldn't help but sigh. Everything is very orderly. On the shops on both sides of the town, it is blatantly written that they are selling arms, they are selling weapons, they are selling chickens, and they are selling people. Be it pirates, well-dressed nobles, or ordinary people, everyone goes about their work and life in an orderly manner, and they all look very harmonious and stable. From time to time, soldiers in armor would pass by to patrol and protect everyone's safety. And a middle-aged man with a big belly and a group of younger brothers went from store to collect money like a rent collector. It was precisely because of seeing this orderly scene that Jan couldn't help but sigh. Next to her, Catherine was used to the unknown words that suddenly came out of Jan's mouth. Fellman Island is the territory passed down from generation to generation by Duke Fellman. It is rumored that the first Duke Fellman was a dark knight. At that time, the Kingdom of Ghana was at war with the Kingdom of Leyden all year round. Duke Fellman descended from the sky like a righteous hero, stopped the war between the two countries, and obtained the favor of the two kings. With mutual approval, we will reward him with Fairman Island, which is sandwiched between the two countries. After that, Duke Fellman was also very polite and handed over a large amount of taxes to the royal families of the two countries every year. However, as Fairman Island developed better and better, it became more and more profitable. Due to each other's high taxes, the Kingdom of Ghana and the Kingdom of Leyden went to war again, and this time Duke Fairman chose to sit back and watch who would win. If you don't, then give the huge tax to whoever you want. Smart approach, Jan sighed inwardly. After wandering around for a long time, I finally found a tavern, and Jan let everyone in. The owner of the tavern is a grey-haired old man, and the service staff in the tavern are all grey-haired old ladies. There are no beauties typical of other city taverns. The magical scene made Jan show a curious expression. "Boss, aren't there any hot girls dancing?" After taking the turbid wine from the old lady, Jan said that he deserved a beating. Catherine wanted to hammer him to death. Mahler, who followed, also frowned. The white-haired old man at the bar with his meticulously slicked back hair raised his head. The wrinkles on his face were enough to kill mosquitoes. This is Fairman's last holy place, without the filth of those outside. Fairman's final shrine? This sentence is very interesting. Ha 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 ha, old man Leeser, you are talking nonsense again. Your place should be Fairman's last shame. If it weren't for your persistence, if it weren't for the kindness of the Duke, your place would have been demolished long ago. The pot-bellied rent collector walked in, took off his hat, put it in front of old man Leeser, and said with a smile, "Hurry up and pay, if it is not enough, we will have reason to demolish your place." Leeser glared at him, then bent down helplessly, took out a small box with difficulty, took out a crystal from it, and threw it into the hat. The rent collector showed a surprised smile, "You actually still have life currency." He didn't care at all about Jan and others next to him. The rent collector looked at Leeser solemnly, turned around and left. Chapter 19 Who is crazier? Jan stared at the so-called life currency with gleaming eyes. It wasn't until the rent collector completely left that Jan reluctantly looked back. It's as if that piece of longevity currency has great appeal. Jan looked at the white-haired old man Leeser who seemed to have lost his power. Through the power of Esterosa, he saw Lysine, whose soul was strong but whose physical strength was weak. Isn't that normal aging? Jan walked up to the lost Leeser with a glass of wine. "Hey, old man, can you tell us about Fairman and what is the lifespan currency?" Jan's frivolous voice made Leeser very unhappy. However, Reese still raised his head, snorted coldly, and said disdainfully, "It's none of your business, this is our Fairman Island's own business. It should be related to the weapons unique to Fairman Island." Mahler behind him suddenly spoke, causing Leeser's body to tremble. Fellman weapons are weapons that are only circulated in the hands of a small number of people. Their unique energy supply limits their production. Mahler continued to speak. And the so-called life currency should be related to Fellman weapons. Jan continued to look at Leeser, and he saw with his own eyes that Leeser's face changed again and again, and finally turned into lamentation. Yes, life currency is the main source of energy for Fairman's weapons. It is energy extracted from the human body through the demon Duke Fairman. It is also something that we, the original people of Fairman Island, have to pay taxes on. Jan nodded, "This is interesting. Devil Fellman? Isn't he the hero who quelled the war between the two countries? And isn't this title inherited from our ancestors?" Mahler asked. As the logistics manager of the Ten Commandments detachment, he was also in charge of the intelligence system. After all, it was obviously impossible to expect that poor and lazy Jan to be responsible. Leeser shook his head and looked at the old ladies working in the store with reminiscing eyes. His reminiscing eyes turned into painful expressions and he said in a hoarse voice. I don't know either. I only know that Duke Fellman will ask us to turn in taxes every month, which can be replaced by lifespan currency. And this tradition has been going on for hundreds of years. There are fewer and fewer indigenous people on Fairman Island, and in the end we are the only ones left in the tavern. When Jan heard this, he couldn't help but scan the people in the tavern. He counted again and again, and there were only 16. Catherine and Mahler's expressions changed dramatically. Damn, what a joke. Is this all the Aboriginal people have? When I was a kid, there were still a lot of people. At that time, there were probably more than 10,000 people. But when I returned from traveling overseas for 10 years, there were only tens of thousands of indigenous people. With the decrease in recent years, we are the only ones left. Lesser smiled bitterly. The Fairman weapons boom started probably 20 years ago. It started after the Age of Discovery began. Mahler frowned and said calmly. This time it all clicked. That's right. Probably with the opening of the Age of Discovery, there were more and more pirates traveling along the Grand Line and more buyers, so there was a huge decrease. Looking at Leeser's appearance, Jan and others also guessed how the lifespan currency was made. Catherine and Mahler looked at Jan, what to do next. Jan stood up, stretched, moved his wrist, and patted Reese on the shoulder. Old guy, remember this sentence, justice may be late, but it will never be absent. Ignoring Reiser's surprised look, Arvin strode out of the tavern. Catherine and Mahler smiled slightly and followed. At this time, the sun has set and the moon is gradually rising. Under the moonlight, Jan led his men towards the highest castle. Lesser in the tavern was confused as to what was going on. Rear Admiral Eiffel Yavin of the Navy headquarters was ordered to arrest Duke Fellman. A loud shout spread across the entire Fairman Island, followed by a sword flashing through the sky and slashing towards the castle. The huge castle was instantly shattered under the strike. On the throne inside the castle, a young man with red eyes and black hair was taking a nap. He suddenly opened his eyes and grabbed the slash that shattered the castle with one hand. The slash that could cut through the castle could not advance even half a step further. The young man sneered and used his fingers to crush the slash. A slash without sword intent is just a powerful swing, useless. The castle was cut open. Jan stepped on the moonlight and looked at the young man still sitting on the throne. The young man with red eyes and black hair looked at Jan who came from down the mountain, looked at the moonlight in the sky, chuckled, and said disdainfully, "Arrest me? What charges are you using? Aren't you afraid that you don't want to be in the Navy or the world government if you want to arrest the Grand Duke of a country at will?" The arrogant voice echoed throughout the ruins of the castle. Jan grinned and looked at the young man with red eyes and black hair, and said carelessly, "It's up to you to choose. What crime do you want? I'll open it for you." "Are you crazy? I am crazier than you. How fucking arrogant. Do you think you run the world government?" The young man with red eyes and black hair said that he was shocked. "Oh, I need to think about that carefully then." After the young man with red eyes and black hair was shocked, the disdain in his eyes became even greater. This was a lunatic. "Think about it, you can order it yourself. And I can find someone to open it for you on the spot." The arrogance of the second-generation official is so vivid that people who don't know may think that Jan is the biological son of Wulaoxing. Then let's charge them with human trafficking and arms trafficking. The young man with red hair and black eyes curled his lips. He really didn't believe it. Jan grinned, "Satisfying you." He took out the phone from his pocket and called Spangdine. "I want to arrest Archduke Fellman. Now I need a crime. He wants human trafficking and arms smuggling." Spangdine on the opposite side looked confused, and then became furious. "Are you sick? What do you mean he wants to traffic in humans and smuggle arms? Is this something he can do casually?" Spangdine, who was reporting to Wulaoxing, looked at Wulaoxing in front of him and couldn't help but said angrily. "Do you know that in order to take down Archduke Fellman, I have come to report in advance?" The young man with red hair and black eyes, Duke Fellman, looked disdainful. The sword-wielding old man among the 5 old stars walked up to Spangdine with his sword in hand and took the phone bug. "Eiffel Avon. Yes. To satisfy him, I will convict Archduke Fellman of human trafficking and arms smuggling in the name of the 5 old stars." Jan put the phone bug in his arms and looked at the other party playfully. "How?" Archduke Fellman was shaking with anger. "In the name of Wulaoxing." These words shocked him hard. "You are really the son of those 5 old men. His handsome face was so distorted by anger that he couldn't even look at it. I am not the son of Wulioxing, but my master is called Zifa, my senior brother is the three generals, and the navy marshal is my uncle. Everyone is willing to give me some face. An arrogant smile appeared on Yuan's face, and his arrogant voice made the nobles on Fairman Island who wanted to contact their bosses and families couldn't help but be stunned. Damn it, this guy has eyes and hands all over the sky. When Archduke Fairmane heard this, he couldn't help but laugh to the sky. Yuan just looked at him like that, comparing his identity. I haven't exposed everything yet. Does the Revolutionary Army know? I served as their military advisor and contacted the boss of the Revolutionary Army directly. If CP knows, I will contact their boss directly. Does Doflamingo, the king of the underworld, know? I also contact you directly. I conquer all forces. Humph. The world government has probably forgotten the fleet it lost 400 years ago. Archduke Firman's cold voice reached Yuan's ears. Have a story? 400 years ago, I single-handedly defeated an entire fleet of the world government and forced them to recognize my status. Archduke Fairman's face was full of pride. Now it's just a do-over. This is still an old monster. Yuan still knows that there are some strange abilities that can make people immortal and prosperous. 3-meter-long bat wings grew out of Archduke Fairman's back, devil horns grew out of his head, huge bones grew out of his hands, and his tailbone gradually grew longer, finally becoming a huge wing, and scales gradually appeared on the outside of his body. Renren fruit, phantom beast species, demonic form. Duke Felman stared at Yuan proudly. Come on, come and fight, see who is afraid of whom. Chapter 20 The beginning of the story. Roar. Duke Felman roared to the sky, and with his roar, the policemen and soldiers on Felman Island who stood tall and guarded people's lives, the rent collectors and his men all knelt down and covered their heads. When he raised his head again, his body had turned black, and his head and feet were in a demonic state with sharp teeth. At the same time, in the cemetery on Fairman Island, the dead bodies crawled out from under the tombstones and walked towards Duke Fairman together with the demons. Originally talking to the rent collector, the nobleman from Marijoya watched the rent collector turn into a demon and ran towards the mountain. He pinched his nose, turned around and walked into the small alley next to him. When he came out again, he was wearing the previous demon mask. With the appearance of dead bodies and demons, people on Fairman Island showed frightened expressions and quickly began to flee. Unlike people fleeing, a middle-aged man in a cloak is going against the trend. In the tavern, Leeser, who was meticulously combed with a long back, looked at the people fleeing on the street, comforted the old women in the tavern, took a deep breath, took out the box containing the lifespan currency, and looked at the only remaining items in it. He took out all 3 longevity coins and swallowed them one after another. As the lifespan currency was swallowed, the originally dry body gained a bit of vitality, and the hair turned slightly grey. Clenching his fists, Leeser felt the long-lost strength, smashed the bar counter with one punch, pulled out the big sword inside, and walked out. The old women looked at each other and saw the determination in each other's eyes. On the ruins of the castle, Yuan glanced at the demons and dead bodies scattered all over the island, and smiled disdainfully. Is this your ability? Duke Felman sneered. Of course not. He shattered the throne with one punch, revealing a sword made of lifespan currency and covered in bright red. Yuan drew out his short knife and his eyes became sharp. There was no conversation, and the two collided with each other for a moment. At that moment, lightning flashed and thundered in the sky, and the two huge momentums collided, as if the world was about to collapse. The masked man stood in a hiding place, looking at the sky that was filled with lightning and thunder due to the fight between the two, and groaned. Is this really Duke Felman, who only has a long life but no other great abilities in historical records? And is that Yuan really a major general? Long was walking backwards in the crowd, feeling the murderous intent in the air, and found that this was the first time he had officially known Yuan, and his terrifying strength. Catherine drew out the long knife from her waist and rushed towards the rent collector who led the demon to charge forward. Mahler sighed and began to organize the remaining people to form a battle line to protect themselves. Arvin and Duke Firman immediately separated after fighting each other, licking their lips. What kind of knife is that? It's very powerful. Yuan recalled part of his physical strength that was absorbed during the hedging just now. It was interesting that that knife had a demonic quality. Duke Felman waved his sword, feeling the added strength from the sword, and couldn't help laughing. This is a sword made with my ability. Oh, Yuan rushed forward again. Killing Drain. Duke Felman looked at Yuan who rushed up. and a blood-red sword light struck out. Wherever the sword light passed, there was no grass, the life force was sucked away, and the sword light became larger and larger. Facing the blood-red sword light, Yuan punched it with his left hand and smashed it into pieces, then rushed towards it at a faster speed. Duke Fellman gritted his teeth and struck forward with his sword. There was another collision, and Duke Fellman was knocked out. Yuan shook his left hand. The armor covering his left hand was shattered, and there was a blood mark between the finger bones. Duke Fellman, who slowly crawled out of the ruins without any injuries, stared at Yuan in midair with an ugly face, and said bitterly, "You are not using swordsmanship." Recalling that when he wanted to fight the opponent with swordsmanship just now, he directly used his body to catch his own sword moves, and stabbed the short sword directly into his heart. This is not the fighting method of a swordsman. Yuan raised his eyebrows. Although I use a sword, my teacher uses physical skills, and so does my uncle. My senior brother rarely uses sword skills. And there is one thing that Yuan didn't say, that is, among the 7 deadly sins, Estarossa is not a master of swordsmanship. He just clearly has a fighting method with stronger power, stronger speed, and more terrifying darkness-devouring ability. As long as I swing the sword fast enough, with enough strength, and with good enough weapon quality, I will be the best swordsman in the world, although I may use the sword like a mace. That sword will transfer life force to you," Yuan said in a questioning and determined tone. Duke Fellman snorted coldly, having been guessed. On the other side of the island, Reiser held a two-handed sword and walked towards the Fellman factory according to the route in his memory. At this time, the 2 security guards at the factory are guarding here in their demonic form. Reiser showed a ferocious smile, glanced at Duke Fellman who was fighting with Yuan in the sky, held the sword in a throwing posture, stood up, took a deep breath, and threw it directly at the factory gate. "Go!" Before the demon guarding the door could react, he was crushed by the sword that struck like a meteor. Walking into the blasted door, Reiser yelled, "I'm here to save you." The smoke and dust dispersed, and what appeared in front of Lesser were rows of nutrient bins. Each nutrient bin had a huge straw that led into the ground. Lesser looked at the familiar figures one after another, and when he was about to rescue them with his sword, he heard the sound of clattering footsteps. At the end of the rows of nutrition warehouses, a young man wearing a waiter's uniform came over. Looking at the familiar appearance of the other person, Lesser looked shocked and said in a voiceless voice, "You are Alan." Alan, who had one black pupil and one red pupil, and had an evil aura as a whole, saw Lase and smiled strangely, "Of course. My good brother Reiser." Reiser faced the approaching Alan and quickly backed away, ignoring him at all. "Why are you still alive? Aren't you already dead?" Lesser didn't understand. He clearly remembered that he had killed the other party. Alan smiled ghostly, "Look at there are so many scapegoats here, do you think I will die?" Pointing to the rows of nutrition warehouses next to him, Alan said indifferently. "In the sky." Yuan looked at Duke Fellman who should have been killed again, showing an irritated look. The opponent's fighting power is not strong, and his fighting style is not like that of a strong man, but more like a step-by-step robot. But he stabbed the opponent's heart 3 times, how could he still be alive? In the factory, Alan took Reiser to a huge nutrition warehouse, where he saw a beating heart soaked in formalin. "The heart is immortal, and I am not dead. Reiser, do you want to join me?" Alan's ghostly smile did not disappear and he continued to persuade. Reese didn't understand what Alan meant. Alan pointed to the rows of nutrient chambers next to them and the huge heart in formalin, and explained, "Let me tell you a story about immortality. A story about peace and war." Alan said not to rush, there is plenty of time to explain. End of the chapter. Like and subscribe for more stories like this.